And welcome back to the We'll Take It From Here podcast. Another week, another episode. However, first, we are going to bring you our show's sponsor, because this episode is brought to you by Honest Supplements. Now, Joe, what's Honest Supplements? Well, let me tell you. In a world that is plagued by new illness outbreak every other day, it's important to keep your body performing at its best with the right vitamins and supplements. However, these products can get expensive, especially with rising prices all around us. Honest Supplements has resolved that problem. They mark up all products by just $1, saving their members an average of 50% per product. Yes, that means that the protein you're paying $60 for is only $30 on their website. They have everything from vitamins, sports supplements, recovery, weight loss, CBD, and so much more. It costs just $10 a month or $99 for the entire year to join the Honest Supplements Club. Timmy and I are both members and can advocate for the amount of money that you will save. And do we also mention that all products are third-party lab tested? Because that's the only true way to prove vitamins and supplements actually contain the ingredients that they claim. Don't wait. Go to Honest Supplements right now to join today and start taking better care of your health. And it's right. If you train jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, or just in the gym, you better be taking Honest Supplements. So go to their website, guys. All right. Now it's time for the show. And we're back, folks. So we'll take it from here with Joe and Timmy, episode 178. Got Al Cuccinello in the fucking house, baby. Welcome back.
What's up?
How you doing? Welcome back. Episode 57, folks. Stop this right here if you have not seen Al's episode yet, where he goes through his whole life story. We had a great talk. This was 57. It's 121 episodes ago. This is when Don was the co-host. But now you're back when Timmy's the co-host.
Shout out to Don.
Shout out Don, baby. Yo, yeah, shout out Don. Congrats on the engagement, brother.
Congrats, brother.
Congrats.
Welcome back, brother. How you
man.
been?
I've been good, man.
Fuck yeah.
I've been very busy.
Let's go. Tell us about it. What's changed in 121 weeks, brother?
You know,
That's one way to put it, right?
yeah, 121 weeks. How many years is that?
2 weeks? 2 years?
2 years. Well, I got a son, a 3-year-old son now.
Okay.
All right.
Wait,
so-
did you have the son when?
I don't remember.
I think it was
what
he was a
year was it?
newborn.
He was a newborn.
I think it was
Gosh,
2023.
the time goes so fast.
Bro, yeah.
But yeah, he just turned 3 years old. He's keeping me really active, very busy, and it feels great to be a parent, man. I mean, I've been a parent for years, with Cameron. If you guys all know Cameron, he's been somebody that's trained with me for a while, and now he's busy with football. He's busy with golf.
Dude, that kid does a lot, man.
Yeah, man.
I remember,
He's doing a lot.
last spring, he was doing some weeding, and the next thing, you told me, like,
he's got to come back soon.
he wants to come, we just don't have time.
I know.
Damn,
No,
wait.
he's
So he trains. So what? Judo, jiu-jitsu?
So he's not training as much right now because he's been really busy with school. He's doing golf. He's on a golf team, which is awesome. He's been playing golf his whole life.
Dude, you can get some good scholarships for that too in college.
So he wants to go.
I have a buddy of mine that got scholarship.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And there's only so many people that do it at that age. So
Yeah. You gotta. It's one of those things where you kind of have to be all in it. I feel like you can't. You have to really focus on it, and that's what he's doing right now. He's with the golf team, but he's also playing football. Football starts up. Mm-hmm. He's big in the weight room now. He's 15 years old.
prime time for that. Yeah.
Man. So I don't want to push him too much in the sense that be like, hey, you got to come to train jiu-jitsu or judo or anything. Once a month if I can get him. Like yesterday, he came and trained, and sort of like a drop in. And I'll take it, because I know he's busy. When people push their kids to, they force them. And I went through that phase where I felt really bad because I trained with him for years. It was just me and him. That was like our thing. We trained all the time. When he was young, I would train, then he would sit and watch me train, and he would play with other kids. He was one of those the kids, the gym rat kids, And then as he got older, he just became busy. His schedule's busy. He's preparing for college eventually. He's going to be going to sophomore year.
That busy is good.
Yeah, and that's a good
busy. Nothing but good things.
So why do you think? Just a little sidetrack here, and obviously you don't do this because you just said you don't want to push him. Yeah. But why do you, being a parent, obviously I'm not a parent. He's not a parent. Why do you think parents would do that? Because I have to think it's out of good. You know what I mean? It's not like they're being an asshole.
I think there's a lot of reasons. I think there's a lot of parents who live vicariously through their kids. And there's also a lot of parents, I would say this is probably more along the lines of where I was. You want to push your kids to be something better than you were. Yeah. Right? And for me, that's what it was always about. I'm not one of these parents that like, and trust me, I've seen these parents when a kid starts to catch up to the adult.
They gotta kick him down.
Them. Yeah. They kick him down. They like shame him, and they do weird, fucked up stuff. I'm always like, man, I want you to be better. I want you to get better than me. That's my goal. And so, you got to just let them do what they want, and they have to go off in those directions. It was something that I kind of mourned in my own way, where I was like, man, this sucks. Like I would kind of like say, hey, are you sure you don't want to come and train? Are you sure you don't want to come and train? Yeah, I'm really busy. I got stuff going on. I'm like, okay. Then I'd be driving the gym by myself. I'm like, it's not supposed to be like this. Like, what are we doing? You're supposed to, I've been saying that in my head. Like, you're supposed to be here with me. And then I'd have to like talk myself off the ledge and be like, no, he's busy. He's got other stuff going on. And I respect that.
It's not like you're sitting home playing video games, right? You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty dope. All right, so sick. So he's sophomore. He's looking into colleges. Your son's 3. What else? What's been going on? What else?
Work, training. You know, that's another thing with a family. A lot of guys can attest to this who have families, wives, kids. You have to balance it all. You know, and especially with something like training jiu-jitsu or even judo. I used to go and do double sessions. I was there 6 days a week. I was like obsessively training through the pain. Like my hands were fucking so sore. Like my body hurt. I'd be doing like rope climbs, and I'd be doing judo, and then I'd be doing jiu-jitsu, and it would be like repeat for like 6 days in a row, day after day after day. And, then when you have your kids and you get married, things, they have to change. You have to have some balance, because if you don't, it's a give and take. So I find myself just trying to balance everything with career, working, taking care of my family, raising kids, trying to also take care of myself. I'm very competitive in the sense that I don't want to ever be one of these. You ever seen that meme that floats around of that guy? He's all like dingy looking. He's laying on like a couch, and there's like alcohol bottles all over him.
He looks like he's living in a frat house at a 40-year-old.
Fucking frat house. Yeah.
And it's disgusting.
Like, yeah. And I'm like, and there's like a meme that goes with it, and it's like, it's like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow or something like that. That can happen if you let yourself, not to that extent, but if you just stop prioritizing things and say, oh, I'll get to it this time, I'll get to it tomorrow, or I'll trade next week or the following week. You eventually go into this hole where you just stop having focus.
Dude.
And that's like my worst fear.
Dude, I feel like every winter I go through that. It's like, I'll go train. I'll go do that tomorrow. I'll go do that tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. And then next thing you know, I'm like, dude, you went once this week and you barely went. I'm like, right. Gotta get back to it.
Well, that's why I'll tell you, man, some people are all for this. Some aren't. If you go to the gym, if you can only make it 1 day a week or twice a week, or 3 times a week, which is like, I try to stick with like a minimum of like 3 to 4 times. 3 days a week of like a mix between like, if I can get to judo once, if I can get to judo twice, that's great. Try to get like my 2 days or 3 days in of jiu-jitsu. And, you have to train hard when you're there.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not saying you have to like,
you have to show up.
Yeah, I'm not saying you have to have every class like a competition class, especially if you're not competing. But I go there to fucking train, man. Yeah. I go there to work. I don't go there to like have a social hour and maybe I'll get a hard round, then the rest of the rounds I'm going to talk through each round. Like, we train together. I try to have like
I'm laughing.
rounds.
I'm laughing because I feel like I'm picturing people that you're indirectly calling out right now.
No names. I'm not going to say names.
And by the way,
I'm friends with
by the way, Al is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu and a brown belt in judo. Am I correct on that? Okay.
Yes, correct.
Double brown.
Hellacious.
Yeah. Double brown.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, man. I think we all go through that phase in training where we obsess over our belts and we look at it and we can't wait to get the next one. I think I was like in jiu-jitsu, I was like that up until I got like my purple belt.
Yeah, that seems to be the thing.
I just stopped handing I don't even remember the last time I handed my card in at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I don't.
I literally don't I just like shake Andy or Mikey's hand and I'm just like, I don't know where my card is because when they're ready, that's the way I see it. When they think I'm ready, that's it. I don't need a card to prove it.
I saw Al's card.
Right. So
I think around purple belt too for me, it was like, all right, fuck this card. Like it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter.
And no disrespect to like all the people that are counting like 1,000 marks on those cards. Like that's awesome. Yeah, it's a lot of determination.
I know one person who has a whole Google Sheets spreadsheet on the classes he's taken. Really? I don't know if he still rocks it.
I think I know who you're talking about for like hours, right?
All the classes they've taken. I don't know how the exactly detailed broken down.
But it's basically how long this person has been at that belt for hours. They are just tracking because I know he's just tracking the fucking how many hours. Am I thinking about the same person as you? Yeah. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Very analytical person.
They're an engineer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. I think it narrows it down pretty well.
I'll be honest.
He may be on this podcast before.
I keep my budget on Excel. I don't know if you guys do that.
Yeah.
Dude, people laugh at me. I have my wife thinks it's like the stupidest shit because I have so I get paid every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's been like that for many years. I have every 2 weeks of pay in this Excel file going back, I want to say like 9 years. I mean, I've had this fucking file for years. And every 2 weeks I get paid, I write my budget in there and then I just balance. I just balance like my bills.
Bro, that is such an important thing. Man. Yeah, but that's important. Like, not that you need to do it that way for you to be successful with finances, but it's a lot of people don't, and a lot of people don't know where their inflow and outflow is coming from.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, when you start looking at the numbers of where the money's going, it'll blow your mind, right? Like some of the old school guys like the Dave Ramseys, and they say, if you think you're spending this much, you're wrong. You're spending twice as much. If you think you're saving this much, you're wrong. You're saving twice as less. It's always the case. And if you don't track it and you don't watch, you're going to lose track of it, and then a year will go by and you'll be like, where did my money go?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck did I spend my money on? Yep. Oh, it's $10 here at Dunkin', $50 here on gas, $100 here at the restaurant. Like, it all adds up.
And sometimes, so that's a good thing too. Sometimes I look at my credit card statements. Now, granted, for me, the only thing that I have, the only person, with the exception if I'm buying gifts or if I'm going out, if I date or whatever, buying drinks for someone, the only person I have to really worry about is myself. I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, I don't have a girlfriend, right? So, but it's funny when I do look at my credit card statements and I'm like, okay, let's just have some fun.
Yeah.
Where can I cut out? What's cut out? All right, no, that's jujitsu. I want that. That I need. Okay, this month I didn't need to, but I decided to, right? And you get to really see, like, cut the waste out.
For me, one of the things I am probably the worst at spending money on is food. Like, some people spend their money on car parts and fucking gis and shit. Like, my gis they're like battle tested. Yeah. They have holes in them. They're ripping.
It's time for me to add something to the wardrobe. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
But I go out to eat, man. I love going and sitting down. I like getting a good dinner. I like not having to clean up when I'm done. And I'm more than happy to tip. I mean, that's fine because you're paying for the experience.
Yeah. What's your favorite? What's your favorite food? Come on, man.
Italian, obviously. Right. Italian food. I'm into Thai food.
Thai's good.
Thai's good. Yeah, Thai's good. I like having sushi.
Do you have like a go-to restaurant you consistently go to? Or you guys always just keep trying to mix it up?
Casabella in Denville. I'm a big fan of that. It's an Italian joint. Yeah,
I've heard of this one.
That sounds so familiar.
It's very good.
Where is it in Denville?
Shout out to Casabella. Yeah. They're right on 46, right next to Sogo Hibachi. So right after you...
Okay, yeah. I know Sogo. Okay.
Do you know Cafe Navona, which is on 46?
Sure.
Right by... Yeah. Have you ever tried them? I don't know. I would
yes.
I want to check out I want to check out Casabella because I've never been there.
Yeah, they're good.
But I feel like they're right in the vicinity.
Yeah, it's a great place. They always get you in. It's the menu is on point. The quality is always on point. It's always busy, but not busy to where like you're standing around waiting. Busy in the sense that like, when you walk into a restaurant and there's like nobody in there and you're like, I hope this place doesn't suck.
Yeah.
When you go in somewhere and everybody's talking and it's vibing.
It's lively.
It's lively. And you're like, all right, it's going to be a good time. One of my favorite places though, sort of like an all-around bar / restaurant is End of Elm.
Oh yeah, Endovelm's good. Dude, that's like I live right down the block from Endovelm, so
I've never been there, but I've heard nothing but good things.
It's good. You're getting good craft cocktails there.
Good craft cocktails. You're getting the food is pretty good.
It is, yeah.
But the environment, again, the vibe. It's just you're
Do you know the bartender Eric?
Yeah, Eric.
Everyone knows Eric.
Everybody knows Eric.
He's a great dude.
Yep, he's been there for a while. I think he's still there, actually.
He's the mayor of Morristown, brother.
He knows a lot of people.
He does. Yeah. Shout out to you, Eric.
Eric's getting shout outs. What is it?
Casabella. What else?
Hot 97 over here. Shout out left and right.
Yo, Hot 97, 105.1.
That's right.
Shit. So, but hey, man, good. That's your thing. There's a lot of people that good restaurants are their thing or good places. The word, this is what I learned when I was in the industry. The word restaurant comes from the Latin, word for restore.
Right.
People go out to restore all the bullshit to have a nice. I think back in the day, it was reserved for a select people, back in the Roman times, where you would go and be served. That's why it was called a server. Okay. But then it got opened up to everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good experience. I mean, it can be costly,
Yeah, of course.
Watch out, but it's all about the experience, That's what it's about. And
but it comes down to a balance, right? You're not going out every single night to a fancy restaurant.
No. And I can't. I mean, it wouldn't be fair to my kids.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
No.
If I'm just I have a good friend of mine. He was the best man at my wedding. He's been a best friend for a very long time. He and I always go out to dinner all the time. We talk about everything. I mean, he's one of those guys you can sit with. You can talk about anything from, theology to politics to conspiracy theories. It's sort of like I have a podcast with him all the time.
Sounds like a guy that I could have a conversation. We could have a conversation.
Yeah. Sounds like our next time we have you on.
You on, yeah.
Shout to John.
Another shout.
John, we're calling you out.
Calling you out, John.
To come here, bro.
John Castellana, you got to come on the show.
So speaking of, I know that we're gonna hit those topics later because I know you've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of rabbit holes. I'm fucking down for that. I'm down for that. Good. So, anything else? I know that you had. You said you've been doing. It's a lot of work. Kids are good. Family's good. And you said you were balancing time. How time has been with family. That your priorities changed. Has there been any other type of major life events since you've been on?
No, nothing crazy. I mean, just the usual day-to-day stuff. Thankfully, I haven't had any crazy life events or losses. My wife did go through the loss of her mother, which was really
condolences.
A little bit. Thank you. It was a tragic thing for her, and I know she. It's still kind of grieving that. So it's nobody can plan for anything when that happens, especially when it's unexpected.
Yep.
So you kind of just take it as it comes, and there's nothing you can really do but just go day by day.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most I'd say variation we've had in our lives was that. But that's and then the birth of my son.
Let's go.
That's it, man. Just living life.
Love that. So. Good. That's great, man. I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you,
dude. And have you been teaching a couple of classes, fill-ins for Pure on Thursdays?
You know what? So I'm sort of on just a fill-in basis right now with Andy, Mikey. I fill in for Rob over at Colton's once in a while.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, every now and then.
How's he doing? I haven't seen him.
Rob's great, man. He's running a killer program, grassroots program. He's got guys in there that started when he started the program. He has guys that came in with experience, black belts that are training there. There's cops that are training over there. I mean, I see his stuff. Rob is a good dude, man. I mean, I kind of came up training with Rob. Rob.
Dude, that guy is huge, and I loved rolling with him. I never felt worried that he was going to hurt me. I was concerned that I didn't bring my A game, but it was always a great roll.
Yep.
Yeah.
Technical,
he was a great
athletic,
and it wasn't a lazy roll. It wasn't. He wasn't going easy on me, but you got
to make it work.
He matched my size, and it was great. He's phenomenal.
Going with guys like Rob and going with guys like you is always fun because I like the stand-up game, and you guys have the stand-up game much better than me with that judo, right? So I would always shoot some singles on Rob when he was at Pure.
Yeah.
And I never learned. I would get Uchimated every fucking time. I never learned.
A lot of counters.
But yeah.
There's a lot.
And every time I would lift his leg up, I'd be like, I get a smile, and then I'd be like, what am I doing? And then he would just fucking launch me.
All right, I'm gonna tell you though. All right, you heard it here. One of the hardest persons to counter a single on is Sally Boy.
Sal Montori?
Sal. It's hard to counter your single, bro.
Yeah, dude, Sal.
I'm just saying.
He's a beast,
big, bro. He's a
beast.
Good,
he's a D1 wrestler, right?
I don't know.
I think so.
I just know he wrestled.
He's collegiate wrestler, at least. I don't know what level.
His jiu-jitsu's coming so far. Oh, it's fun to train with. He and I always have really
I love seeing him rolls, too. I haven't rolled with him much, but, like, you can tell he's like, I'm putting my wrestling to the side. Not that I'm never using it, but I'm getting good at jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
You know? Whereas I've seen some wrestlers come in and they're like, I'm doing wrestling here.
No, Sal's a grappler now.
Yeah.
Sal's no longer just a wrestler.
But it's awesome to see because some people come in and like, I'm going to rely on my wrestling. I'm going to learn jiu-jitsu. Him is like, I'm learning this shit.
I'm pretty sure he always, or I don't know, I can't say always, but I'm pretty sure he prefers, I'm speaking for you, Sal, so sorry. He prefers to start out on his back a lot of the times because he wants to work jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great round. I mean, every time I train with him, it's, we have great exchanges. It's fun. It's an energetic round. But yeah, I mean, he's got great wrestling. His if you try to catch him on a single, he's
got practice on that.
Yeah. I rely on some of the stand up with a lot of guys. But it's funny because I'll play stand up with a lot of guys that I train with at jiu-jitsu. But then I'll have a lot of guys that are like, I really don't want to play stand up, or they want to sit. And I respect that because if they don't have any experience training stand-up or wrestling, they're afraid in their mind. They don't want to get hurt. And I totally respect that, which is why, I think, it's so good to cross-train. You definitely have to incorporate it all, but in such a way to where, people aren't going to feel like they're going to get hurt. Because you don't want to... There's a time and a place, right? If you want to do competitive judo, you go at some of the best places... and train, right? You find a good place, you go down to Colton's and you train with top-level athletes. You go to Cranford Judo, you train with top-level athletes, right? But, if you don't want to play competitive judo, but you want to learn, you can still learn the art of it and do it in a safe manner. And I think a lot of people have this this concept that, they equate something like judo to pain and suffering, right? It's still a beautiful art. You can learn it and not get hurt.
Do you know what really helps me when, because like I said, I go with a lot of good judo guys, right? When I know that I'm about to get tossed, right?
You feel it.
No, you feel it, and then you're like, okay, this is I'm about to get tossed. You get real, you do brace for it, but you don't. You just get loose, get really loose.
That's the best way to fall.
That's
Break fall, get loose.
Get loose.
Tense up, you get hurt, you land weird. You crush things. When you just take a fall, and you obviously you want to try to avoid taking a hard fall on concrete,
Yeah.
But even that, I mean, if your body is loose, you get used to the falls. You start to learn how to fall.
Yeah.
And I take some hard falls sometimes.
Doing up judo, yeah.
Fucking dude, the guys you're going with at judo, I could only imagine. I've heard there's some Bahamian guys or something.
The Bahama boys.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
Bahama
great.
boys.
Yeah, they're two twin brothers.
As long as the Island boys.
No. Aren't they
they're good, man.
Aren't they Olympic level?
I don't know.
Or collegiate, or I don't know.
They're training to be Olympic level.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah.
I know that they're training at very high level with the people. All the guys that are training at Colton's who are black belts, right? They're a lot of them are high level athletes. They're training regionally, internationally, nationally. I mean, there's a kid there that trains who's number 4 in the world.
Jeez.
And he's a junior. He's a junior number 4
in the world.
Is it John?
No, it's Daniel.
Daniel, okay.
Yeah.
Dude, number 4 in the world.
He's amazing. I think number 4.
He's somewhere. He's very good. That's all we have to say. He's up there.
Very good.
And folks, keep going. No, I'm saying that's why you don't start shit with people in the street. You don't know who the fuck you are.
Right.
Exactly. Right. But what my point was, it's 100%. I feel like we get spoiled with our gym on the culture we have, but the community that we have surrounding us with all these local gyms in the area, that we're all kind of like, we're not a franchise with all these people, but they're all connected.
It's a good network, though.
Yeah, it's the network, right? But the level of talent around all the gyms in this area is
huge.
It's absurd, the fact that we're spoiled with all this. Like, there's some gyms that, like, they have a purple belt and that's the highest, or there's but like, we have so many good people in this area, and then everyone's allowed to cross train, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the tri-state area, New Jersey, PA, New York, I mean, it's such a hub for excellent grappling, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, even the judo. I mean, it's like, there's so much good, there's so many good athletes, and there's so much variation. I mean, and pure, I mean, I had this conversation with a friend of mine who is also a jiu-jitsu black belt. I grew up with him. And, you know, he even said, look, you know, like, it's easy to take it for granted when you're training, because he's come to Pure and trained there.
Where is he trained at?
He trains down in Warren.
Okay. So South Jersey, was that central?
It's kind of central.
Central, yeah. South of Morris County.
Yeah.
We'll just call it that.
Warren County, somewhere in there, by like Bridgewater. But, you know, he's like, it's easy for people to to overlook this, because you guys have it so good here. You know, there's so many athletes, so much variation. You know, you walk in those gyms, like you were saying, where there's like 6 or 7 guys that are always training every night, and that's all you have. You know, how are you ever going to get better? No disrespect to those gyms. They all have their grassroots level. Maybe they're trying to grow, but when you're training at a place like Pure, and you have hundreds of people that you could train with, you have to take advantage of training with different people.
Bro, blessed. Like you said the word blessed. We're fucking blessed.
And it makes you, all it does is make you better.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean, we're spoiled. That's all it is. Like, we have the best situation. And I almost feel like we're a broken record, because every time we talk about jiu-jitsu, it's like, we're spoiled.
Yeah, dude. But it's awesome. Are, though.
Yeah, we are.
And I'll take it. I'll be spoiled.
I'm just... listen, everyone, every time we bring it up, we're just trying to show gratitude to the gifts that we're given.
Yes. 100%.
100%.
You know?
And what they've taken that gym to is like, I mean, it's amazing, man. So many business owners strive to take a business to that level and can't do it.
Yeah.
So the fact that, like, they have free marketing, right? People just giving constant, you know, great reviews, word of mouth marketing. I'll give you an example. Okay, this is how powerful word of mouth marketing is, or just like somebody inadvertently marketing something or a business and how it can help. I got a sandwich recently at this deli, or this restaurant, this sandwich place in Sparta, right? I work in Sparta. And I saw on, I think it was on Facebook, one of those like Facebook, Sussex County Facebook or something, one of those county pages. Somebody posted a picture of a cheesesteak. And they said, I just had one of the best cheesesteaks of my life. It was over at Senator or Senatori Sandwich. I'm giving them a shout out too. All right. So Senator Sandwich or Senatori Sandwich. Okay. So I saw it and I said, this looks pretty good. I got to go try it out. So I went in there. I shit you not. When I was in there waiting for the sandwich, there was like 2 or 3 other people in there who were like, hey, what do I get? What do you recommend? And I'm like, this is my first time here. And they're like, oh, same with me. I saw it on Facebook. And I was like, me too. And the guy working there was like, he's like, yeah, we don't really do any marketing. We don't have a website. We really weren't equipped to like once this review came out, we got wind of it, and like we're not prepared to like handle the foot traffic or whatever, however he worded it.
That's beautiful.
But that just goes to show you how powerful just somebody's act of kindness, or just somebody being like, wow, this was great. All right, I'm going to share how good it was. They don't care. They're not making any money on it. Like anytime we talk about how good Pure is, right? Nobody's paying us.
No,
we're not.
No.
You know,
we're not getting
not
paid.
Yet. They're like, we want nothing to do with you.
No, dude, what's it called? It's like a good formula. It not only is the kindness of the people leaving the Rio, right? But it's in the formula of the business. So something like Pure, right? Or this place. Obviously, they have the professionals, right? They have the skill, but they bring the genuine aspect of wanting to help people. In the sandwich place, it's provide quality food. In Pure, it's provide an enjoyable environment, quality jiu-jitsu, quality Muay Thai, but with a community. Once they built it around that community, I'm pretty sure, Mikey, and Andy has spoken to this, especially episode 49. Go check that one. I'm pretty sure they said those words. They wanted to build the community. The community builds itself, and then that's where the genuine word of mouth comes. If you're trying to do the right thing, it's going to fucking help.
Yeah, it's 100% true, and it's crazy to me that there's a lot of business owners out there, and I'm not a business owner. I'm in business, and I know how I'm in sales, so I understand how psychology works. I understand how people work. And, it's crazy to me that there's people who don't get that. They're very rigid. When they have a business and they're very rigid and they can't, I don't want to say play the game. You kind of have to play a little bit of a game, but
they force it.
Yeah. Or they just don't care. They're like, I don't care. It is what it is. This is what you get. And I don't care. Okay, well then do you want to be pigeonholed the rest of your life or do you want to grow your business?
Yeah.
Because if you want to grow your business, you have to be open to ideas. You have to be genuine. There's a lot of attributes that some people just don't have. Dude, it's crazy.
It's been my first year. I completed this a year, let's call it 14 months, right? Year and 2 months of me being on the phones and sales, right?
Okay. How you liking it?
I'm liking it. I'm liking it. It's a grind, but I'm liking it. When the easiest sales, and I don't mean that in I just sold them, right? But the easiest sales come when you're probing and understanding what they need and then matching the product with what they need and showing value. Every time you try to do a quick, if you're trying to do a quick sale because you need it, it never works.
Yeah, you start to sell telemarketing.
You sell telemarketing. Yeah. The best time is when you're having the conversation and you're like, this guy, he needs this, and that, and this conversation is flowing so well back and forth. This is going to be a sale, and it always is.
I'll tell you what.
Because you're helping.
From my experience in business and in sales, you could make the most money by sounding like you care the least, in the sense that if you're talking to a customer and you're just having a nonchalant, casual conversation and you're trying to sell them, you know that it's something. Like for me, I sell commodity and I sell products that have a lot of value add, but I also sell I sell packaging. So I sell things that people need, right? I talk to businesses all day, and I know that they need what I'm selling. I'm not selling like some microchip or something crazy that, there's a shot in the dark. Maybe I'm targeted to who I'm speaking with. And a lot of times, if I just act like I don't care if you buy from me or not, they're more inclined to, they're like, oh, you don't sound like a sales guy.
Yeah.
Oh, you sound like somebody I could trust and talk to. And then they're willing to buy from you.
Yes.
It's the weirdest shit. It works.
It is, because when and this is what also my managers have told me, because I'm a very good manager. And I don't even I call him my manager. He's a friend. He always puts that you have to probe, man. When you start product dumping or you're just dumping shit, he always makes this thing. He goes, if I go to Best Buy and I need a TV and then you start selling me on computers, what the fuck are we doing? Right?
You're just a hungry guy trying to make some kind of, I'm sniffing that out.
And then and then you do feel it. You feel it. Like if you're the buyer and then someone starts you can feel when someone's trying to fucking upsell you, right? Yeah. Come on, man.
But in the same sense, with circling back to a gym, for example, when you have an owner who's like, if you like my gym, great, awesome, we'd love to have you. But if you don't, that's also cool. There's some culty gyms out there.
Absolutely.
I've tried out. Or it's just not even tried, because I have full transparency. I have no interest in moving, to another jiu-jitsu gym. I enjoy training at Pier. It just works for me. I like being there. But you go and cross train at other gyms, and sometimes it's obviously some of them make you wear their own uniform, and it's just weird shit. But they just have this they have this weird mentality where they treat you like you feel like a product. You don't feel like a person. And I never feel like that at Pure. I never feel like that at Colton's.
Yeah.
Colton and I have been talking since before he started his business. He always jokes and calls me one of his OGs. But I remember training with Colton. When he was preparing for the Olympics, he would come through and he was doing rounds at all the gyms. And that was back when I was at Pure Judo, back with Sensei Kevin. And, he would drop in and, he'd fuck me up a little bit, throw me around in front of all the jiu-jitsu people. We'd have a fun time. And then, and then he opened his business and I came in, one of his first students, and He's so good to me, man. You know, I have no complaints. He never forces me. He never is like, he knows I got a life. He knows that, like, I do the best I can with it. Like, I respect that more than a gym owner who might be, like, constantly trying to badger you to make sure that, like, you don't cancel your membership. You know what I mean? It's just weird.
Yeah.
You don't want to be somewhere where they're just making you feel like it's about the money.
When you guys been talking about, I keep talking so bad. When you guys were talking about all the sales stuff, right, and being like relaxed and almost not caring, I've never been in sales, right? I'm just thinking about back in the day when I was a single man trying to hit on girls. I'm like, when you're trying too hard, they know, and it just stinks. It just smells. But when you don't care, somehow it works. You're like, what the fuck?
No, okay. Well, you don't care when you know. Like when you know you bring value. Yeah, and that sounds arrogant, but it's not. When you know you bring value to something, anything, relationship, anything to the table. You don't even have to try to voice it. People feel it off you. Yeah,
there's a sense of confidence. Yeah. And confidence goes a long way in life.
Confidence, not arrogance. That's the difference. Yes. And it's a fine line, but it's very obvious when you're at the ends of it.
And I want to just clarify here, in case any of my teammates or my manager is listening. I'm not saying that I'm always like, oh yeah, I don't give a shit. No, there are many times, especially in the beginning, where I was like, why the fuck isn't this working? And but every time I'm like, no, this is gonna work, and I just relax.
And it's a game too, man. Like in sales is fun in the sense that every person who has ever been in sales or who is currently in sales has been through this. And I'm gonna just outline it just briefly. It's the process of saying, I hate this shit. I hate this shit. I hate this shit. Yes. Fuck this job. I hate it. I'm quitting. I don't want to do this shit anymore. I want to do something easier. Yes, I love it. It's a fucking roller coaster. But you know what? That roller coaster, those ebbs and flows eventually start to like trim out the more you do it. Yeah. And then like for me, it's like the bigger you build your book, the more loyalty you start to get with customers. Yeah. You start to see those ebbs and flows trim out. And then like you get to a point where like you're just getting... People are just writing orders with you. They're just giving you business. And you feel like you didn't work for it, but you did. You did. But they're just trusting you enough to say, we don't have to have conversation. Just take this order, get it run for me, and ship the product. Yeah, 100%. And that's where you want to be at in a career with sales. You want to get to that point. Some people can't see their way through that, though. You know, a lot of people get impatient. They want to set the world on fire. They want to boil the ocean. You know, that stupid term.
I think a lot of times, too, is...
too fast, you know?
Coming from the outside perspective is I feel like a lot of people, like, they're so focused on selling and getting the sale. They're not focused on, like, when you're saying you get the repeat business and who they just take care of it. I know you know what I need.
Yeah, that's the best kind of business.
But like, there's some people, like, they don't get there because they're trying to force products on people that the computer when they're looking for a TV. Yeah. And it's like, you don't know what the fuck I want. You're wasting my time. You're not helping me now. Yeah. You're not providing any value. I need the products you have, but you're not helping me get to what I need. You're giving me something else.
In a similar sense, when I deal with customers who are very cash conscious or price conscious, I should say. Price conscious in the sense that they're like, oh my gosh, like I just can't do it, like I can't write that order. Or they want to shop you around. Shoppers, people who are, listen, we all do it, right? We all go on, we're like, what's the price for Amazon versus Walmart versus Target? But if you're dealing with somebody you've been doing business with, like imagine if you had your membership at a gym and then 5 years later, just going to throw an arbitrary number out there, but let's just say 5 years later, you said, you know what, I'm going to start shopping my membership, right? Like, where's the loyalty? Why are you doing that? There's a reason you're doing that, like nobody really would I can't think of anybody who would just do that. There's always a reason. Maybe you lost your job, maybe your wife lost her job, or your girlfriend, or whatever. But if things are just status quo, people normally like to leave them like that. Yeah. You just let it go and you don't ask questions. And that's the best place to be at as a business owner or somebody in business is to get to that point where you have enough trust where people just are like, oh, okay, like my membership went through and I just forgot that it's just on file, or, oh, I have my my POs that come in, and I just give it to, my rep, and he handles it, and I don't ask questions. Blank PO, like, oh, what's the price? Oh, okay. Like, they don't even ask what the price is. Yeah. They don't even care, because price is like this it starts to be not even become a conversation after a while.
Usually when I have a client who right off the rip, I'm talking about, we haven't even had a back and forth conversation. When they ask me the price, I just go, in my head, I'm like, all right, I got one of these. And it's not always a close. It's not always like, all right, they're not going to buy. I will always tell them, because we have multiple products. And I go, cool, can't really give you a price because I don't even know what's a good fit for you. Right. If it's even a good fit for you. I can give you a range, but without having a conversation. And then if they're serious, they'll either have the conversation, or if they're busy at that point, set up another appointment. If they're not, then we go on. And I'm just like, all right, good. At least I didn't waste a fucking conversation. Because I could tell them the price of one product, but maybe it wasn't the product for them, because I don't understand what they need.
Right. And you don't want to go down rabbit holes and waste your time, because time is money. If you're going to sit there, like for me, I go through people constantly coming to me saying, I'm a very quote heavy, that's my job. It's a very quote heavy job. So I'll have people always coming saying, I need you to quote this job. I need you to quote this work. I don't get paid to write quotes. I get paid to write orders. That's just how the structure of my job is, right? I'm a broker. So I can't tell customers that, hey, listen, you got me doing like several hours of work. I'm not getting paid for this, so don't fuck me around.
Yeah.
Like they could jerk me around, day after day for weeks or months. And I either really want their business bad enough, or I have to learn when to cut the tie.
How do you approach, maybe not so much with your repeat clients, right? Obviously, those are the ones who you've built trust with and they want to buy from you. How do you approach when you've had a back and forth conversation? You can tell there's interest there, but it's almost like they're like begging you to convince them. They're giving you the objections, but these objections aren't bullshit. And they're almost saying, hey, just convince me to buy it. I want you to convince me. How do you approach that?
Well, so
price-wise too.
Well, so again, for me, I'm dealing with people who need what I sell, right? Mm-hmm. I deal with mills, factories, companies that they need to use this packaging for their operation. Otherwise, they won't have an operation, or they won't have products with anything. What's the word? Wrapping them or bagging them, or however you want to word it, to ship them, right? So they need something to contain their product containment. So they can either try to shop me around, which is what they do. They might say, oh, give me a quote, and then, okay, let me talk to 5 other people and see where it's bidding. It's like a bidding process. But I try to avoid those people who are like the big companies out there. I'm talking like the Unilevers, the Procter & Gamble's, those direct type business. They don't want to deal with brokers. They don't want an intermediary, right? They want to deal with a direct manufacturer who's going to make it for them. The problem is, when you deal with a direct manufacturer, you don't get the level of service that you would get working with a broker or a distributor. A distributor handles the middle ground for everything. And that's kind of where I don't really have those conversations directly with my customers, but I will tell them, listen, this is, you're not going to get the level of service if you go with this guy that you are with me. So I try to make it more about service. I try to make it more about trust. I don't bullshit. I'm not just somebody who's like, you can trust me, and then you can't trust me. What's the saying? Under promise and over deliver.
Yeah, under promise and over deliver. Yeah.
That's what you should live by. If you're over promising and you're under delivering, word of mouth is going to travel, and nobody's going to want to do business with you.
Okay.
So
you just come across as sleazy.
You come across as non-trustworthy. Yeah, word gets out, and people are like, yeah, this guy is not good to work with. So yeah, I mean, there's different ways to deal with it, but I usually can smell those people out. You can sniff them out after a while. The people who aren't serious, who waste your time, and I'm sure, like, with something as unique as maybe like a gym, it's the same thing. You might have people come in and want to do a trial and check it out. Like, because I was one of those guys before I really committed to training. I'm talking like, back in the day, like, I used to watch Pride. Do you guys remember Pride?
Oh, Pride! I never watched it, but that was the no holds bar type of UFC, right?
They used to kick each other in the dick, like, they fucking crazy, like, I don't even. I mean, it was fucking nuts. Like, they would knee each other. Like, I don't know. somebody like Andy would know what the rule set was, maybe more, but I think they were allowed to like knee on the ground, like on the head, like knee the face or something. Crazy shit.
I think like even soccer kicks.
Yeah, like dude, it was
like,
wild.
Dude, the fact that soccer kicks are ever legal.
Silva, the axe murderer, used to do that. You remember him? Like Wanderlei Silva used to do that big axe kick and come down on guys and just knock them out when they'd be like laying on the ground. And he would do like a drop axe kick up to their face.
I could kill someone.
Dude, I know. So, like, I would watch that, and, like, we would all be drinking and hanging out, and we'd be, like, you know, just fucking around and watching. It was back in the time where, like, we all, like, you know, you would drink, and you'd watch UFC and think you were a UFC fighter. You'd be like, oh, I could do this, you know? But nobody had any real training experience. So you get drunk, and you get fucked up. And
you do dumb shit.
And you start wrestling your friends and breaking furniture.
Been there so many times.
Like, that's what we used to do. Yeah. And then you get to a point where you're like, you know, I want to really learn how to do this shit. So that's kind of, that's lost my train of thought where I was going with that. But that's where we used to, that's where it all started, you know?
Yeah. No,
you were talking about shopping around with gyms.
No, you were talking about when it comes to gyms and how they build value.
Yeah. So that's where, you know, you get to that point when you're like, I got to get serious with this. Yeah. And then you start looking around for gyms. And that's kind of, you know, how I found Pure. I reached out to Andy. I sent him like I didn't even know his name at the time. I sent him like an email to the Pure website.
Hey Andrew.
Yeah, I was like Pure. It was like contact us. And I swear to God, like I remember like it was yesterday. I was sitting. You probably don't even remember this bar. It was called the Funky Monkey in Morristown. Do you remember that bar?
I remember the name of that. Yeah. Where was that? Why do I know that?
On South Street. And I was sitting there.
I don't know if I've ever been there, but I know the name of that bar.
That was pre. I was not 21 when that was around.
It was before. It's called something else now, but it's still there. It's just under a different name. And I was sitting there, and I was having a bite to eat because I lived in Parsippany at the time. I had an apartment there, and I was like, I'm going to reach out to this gym, you know, because my friend was always like telling me to train. I used to train with Trevor years ago. Yep. Trevor Patterson. He was one of my first like actual coaches. Like he wasn't really a coach, but he was somebody that I had trained with in the past. And he always used to say, you got to come through to Pure. You got to check it out. He was like an old AMA guy. And so I finally made the commitment, but I didn't really do a lot of shopping around. It was like a word of mouth thing. It was like I had a referral. I knew that they had a good reputation, and I knew the lineage. I knew a lot of those guys, from what I heard, came from a place like AMA, which if everybody remembers AMA back in the day, and I'm sure
talking about Whippany AMA,
yeah,
right?
Like the AMA Whippany was like that was a powerhouse.
That was the Morris County Mecca.
Yeah. Dude, that was where like some of the best fighters came out of it. It was
Amanda Nunes used to train there. A bunch
Edgar trained there, right?
A bunch of people trained there.
Andy was there.
The Miller brothers.
Yeah. Miller brothers, yeah. They were all training with each other. They were all beating the fuck out of each other. They were having a good time. And they were all badasses. You know, Mickey Gall, right? So I knew that a place like Pure was probably a place I wanted to be at. You know, I didn't really have to look further. It was like, look no further. Here it is.
That's exactly how I ended up at Pure too. When did you start training there? Did you train at the original gym?
No, I started in 2000, either end of 2015 or the beginning of 2016. It's been like almost 10 years.
You were never at the original location. Mm-hmm. Okay, no. So I think I don't remember when they moved over. I started there the year before they moved. So I started in January. They moved in like spring or summertime, something like that. But you know Felix?
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't even know him at the time. It was my cousin's boyfriend at the time, now husband. He's like, oh, Felix told me you should go to this gym. So I'm sitting there, and Andy's asking, like, how'd you hear about this? I'm like, my buddy Felix told me, and he's standing behind me. I didn't even know who he was. And then I took one class, and then after that class, I signed up for 6 months.
Right.
Like, I didn't shop around. It was just like word of mouth. And I got there. I'm like, this was at the original gym, which was probably twice the size of this garage.
Yeah.
You know, this is a 2-car garage, everyone. It's not big. And then there was not a lot of space, but it was home. And then they moved to a new place, but there was no shopping around. Mm-hmm. I committed as soon as, I think it was the first class, 6 months. I said, fuck this. And then after the third class, I had long hair, like down to my shoulders. I cut it. But yeah, as soon like that's what we're talking about. This whole conversation started right about selling products and why like the value add. Going to, even when they first started, it was you go there like you did not feel the need to go shop around.
Right.
You didn't care what the price was. It was like, okay, that was the price, and their prices still to this day are some of the cheapest in the area.
Bro, I have to say what I'm paying, obviously I'm not going to say it, but what I'm paying for 7 days a week, whenever the hell I want, both
morning,
Muay Thai,
noon, and night.
Morning, noon, and night.
7 days a week.
I am.
It's if you like stealing.
Yeah.
Because the other gyms in the area, they're so focused on the dollar amount because they don't have the number of students that Pure has.
Yeah.
They don't have the square footage Pure
they
has,
need the money. They need the money to pay for the overhead. They need to, they need to justify it.
Which is a testament to why they have what? Don't they have? Doesn't Pure have like 500 fucking members in total or something?
It's probably
between all of everything.
It's actually probably more now.
More?
I'm not joking. It's probably more because you have
God bless
so many kids in karate. You have so many kids in jiu-jitsu. Then you have the adult program for jiu-jitsu, and then you have Muay Thai.
Yeah.
You know. And they used to have kickboxing and stuff too, and that's not there. But there's still so many fucking students.
Yeah,
you know what's a Campese Wednesday night class? How many people in that?
80 people,
dude. Crazy.
80 people,
crazy.
Bro.
Even the Saturday morning open mat. That like I remember. It used to be Campese's noon class.
Yeah.
I used to love that noon class, And then now I go down to judo on Saturdays. I try to make Saturdays like Saturday mornings like a judo day, but. I remember like noon was always like a big turnout. Campese would be like, fight your friends, you know, like fight your friends. That was like the joke. It was a great gi class. Now it's Saturday mornings and those classes are huge. They're just like an open format. It's like, hey, everybody comes in and they just all train, there's like, you get 10 rounds or something, 10 5-minute rounds or some shit like that.
Bro, you're talking about the
Saturday 8 to 9.
8 to 9. Yeah. Yo, it's no gi. You get like 10 5-minute rounds.
So that's not even a formatted like on the schedule type formal class. That's just like people just created that class.
It's like the hidden class,
Right.
It's like you got to be in the know to know that's the class, but everyone's welcome, but it's not public. It's like a non-pro class. So it's like Monday at 11s is pro training, right?
I wish I could try one of those out, man.
So much fun.
I used to do that religiously.
I can't work, man. I
used to do that religiously, and then last couple of months I just haven't.
Yeah,
I kept having weird injuries, and I'm like, I'm taking a break.
I
gotta go back.
If you are a pro, if you're a Pure, and you're at least a 3-stripe blue belt. And you have the ability.
Call the blue belts out.
Yeah, no. Because I think that's their
blue belt and up. Yeah,
and up. If you have the ability to go to Pure at 11 a.m. on a Monday, if you're not working for whatever reason, go
get the experience.
That's
absolutely,
all I'll say.
Absolutely.
Go.
Even if you have to take a couple hours off for work to go, just do it once. It's worth it. It's a lot of fun. And it's probably the similar vibe to the Saturday class, but it's pro training, right? So it's only upper belts.
Yeah.
And then everyone, like, you're going there and it's you're bringing the heat.
Yeah.
That class, if I was injured, I would actually rather go to that class than any other class because I know everyone there. Okay, they're bringing the heat, but I feel so comfortable.
That brings me to kind of an interesting point where some people, and this isn't just exclusive to Pure, this is anywhere. There's a lot of people that I know of, that I have friends at other gyms. They're very selective with who they train with, in the sense that like they'll actually turn people down and be like, I'm not training with you. I very rarely will turn people. I mean, I think I turn people down in judo very rarely. Like if somebody's very big and very heavy, I might be like, I don't know, because I just don't know if I want to risk like a blowout on my knee or something, just because there's a lot more like movement involved. I don't really turn anybody down in jiu-jitsu. Like I'll have a round with anybody. I mean, if you tap me, great, whatever. If I feel like I'm compromised, I'll take it like a man. Fuck it. You got me. Like you choked me out. Guys that are lower ranked than me tap me out. It happens. Like it's not even about the rank. It's just if you're better and you catch me or you get me. I shouldn't even say catch because that's a bad phrase too.
Yeah.
You get me. You get me. You got the better of me.
I like that. I like how you changed it from catch to get because
catch implies that like I'm better even though you beat me. Like no, like
I gave you that because I was being. No,
you didn't give a shit. You did better than me.
You did what you were supposed to do. You won this one.
Yeah. It's like you always tell them good job. Like, and then that's also a learning point for you. You're like, because I'll be honest. Yeah, for sure.
But then in the car, I'm driving home, and I'm like,
motherfucker,
I got to get him back.
Well, do you know what? Every time that someone got, and I'll let you finish your point.
No.
But every time that you get got, right? You get got by a lower belt or a lower rank who quote unquote shouldn't have, that's not even, who shouldn't have got you. I bet you if you review the whole scenario that led up to it, you know exactly what you did wrong. You know exactly what
you probably don't even have to review it. You probably already know.
Fuck. You do. I will say too, with comparing both like jiu-jitsu and judo, I don't know if wrestlers are like this because I didn't wrestle growing up, but they might be able to attest to this. But especially if you have matches and you're in the college years or even in the high school days. But like with jiu-jitsu, I never really, if somebody catches me or gets me, whatever you want to call it, like if they beat me and it's a scrap and they get the better of me, I don't like go home and dwell on, like I don't sit in the car and dwell on like, man, how the fuck did Timmy, like what the fuck did he do? I don't like, but with judo, it's like I don't know why. Maybe some of my judo friends could attest to this, but like I will drive home sometimes if I get thrown in judo. I'm like, I'll drive home and it'll eat me up. I'll be like, I'll replay the whole match. I'll be like, what did I do? I've even like like no joke. I've even like text like Coleman, but like I don't know, like I feel like like, I'm not like fucking getting better because like, and he's like, well, you are going with guys that are like competing on like a national circuit, so you gotta like it's okay, like you're right where you're supposed to be. I'm like, I feel like I suck, I think you're lying. I think I suck,
that mindset, as it may not seem like it, but I think it's a very healthy mindset, and I feel like
it's a champion mindset.
Yeah,
no, really,
but at all levels, but you gotta be like,
but at the same time too, like I think it's a true honest assessment, because like every time I train at the gym, and like there's a lot of really good purple belts, and like I get worried sometimes with these people.
Oh my god!
I wasn't talking about you. Dude, I wasn't talking about you.
I think the purple belts are probably some of the, in my opinion, the purple belts at Pure specifically are some of the most aggressive.
Yeah,
it's the fastest growing and most aggressive group out of all the belts.
They're really good. So it's funny, is like those purple belts, I'm more scared rolling with them than rolling with Mikey. Mikey will tap me out 1,000 times. That's fine. But I'm not scared with him because I know what
body lock.
I know what I'm. Oh, he got me like 3 times yesterday with that.
Can't get out of that shit.
That's probably why my back hurts. Thanks, Mike. But like rolling with him is like I know what I'm expecting and I know what's going to happen. It's not as scary with these purple belts. So I was like, what are they going to pull out? Fuck, I got to be on my A game. I'm not letting anything. But my point is though is that every time I'm training and I'm like, fuck, man, I'm not doing good. I'm like, no, all these motherfuckers are bringing the fucking heat. They're bringing the heat. And they're training nonstop. They're getting good. And you just need to step up and do your shit better. They're clearly putting in the work and you're not putting in enough work. And that's not necessarily always true. It's just people are getting good at different rates and there's nothing wrong with that.
And I want to be in a gym where lower guys are testing me. Because that means I'm at a good fucking gym.
Right. Or if guys are beating you.
Beating me,
If guys are beating you and they're winning, that means you're at the right place.
Yeah.
If you're always winning, if you're always a guy winning, and I've had I still always am like telling myself this because I remember like there were times when I would train with guys, especially if you train with guys who don't have experience in judo, for example. But they like might wrestle, they might have a lot of jiu-jitsu experience, but they don't have like full-on stand-up, true gripping and movement experience, and you might outmaneuver them and outwork them, and it's a head high. You're like, oh my god, I'm so good. And then you move with somebody who knows how to move, who knows how to grip, who knows kazushi, they know how to put somebody where they need to be and figure their body in such a way to where like the throw makes effortless sense. Then you start realizing, okay, am I as good as I thought I was? Yeah. And if the answer is no, then you got work to do.
Yeah, that's it.
And I'm at that point where I'm like, I got a lot of I have a lot of work to do. It's never going to stop.
Yeah, but it's also like unless and this is definitely obviously different than if you're like training to be a pro like in the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
But let's just say for you, like there's no time clock for you or for me. It's not like, oh shit, I didn't get this guy by March 1st. I guess I got to stop jiu-jitsu. There's no time
I missed
clock.
that boat and I accept that.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, who cares? But, funny story. I want to circle back to the body triangle. I told this story many times. So you shoot yourself?
Sorry I brought that up.
Yeah, no. I've told this story many times and I'm going to tell it again because it's really funny. One day, this was about a couple years ago, a couple years ago. I was when I was going to noon class.
Right.
I show up. It's no gi, and Scott, right? Coops goes up to me and goes, "Oh yeah, mother, you're gonna tap again to the pressure." And I'm like, "Bro, you submitted me. Like I never and keep in mind, it's me. This is pre-class. It's me and Cooper, and Mikey's just stretching, and Mikey's talking to us, but Mikey's like in his own zone, right? And I'm talking to Cooper. I'm like, Coop, you got me fair and square. Right. I'll never ever tap to a pressure or a body triangle. And then I just remember looking at my like out of the left after I said that, and I just see this face on Mikey, and it's not like a laugh, it's not an anger, it's just I think I'm gonna tap everyone with a body triangle. Dude,
thank you for telling me about that.
Dude, he got me 3 times in the round purposely with a body triangle.
So that right there is the start of his.
It's dreadful.
So that right there is why he's been doing body triangles nonstop. Thank you. I blame you. I blame you.
He got Coop twice. He got me 3 times.
I'm telling you, the body, and I bring this up because it's Mikey. I'm looking right at you right now, talking to you. Your body triangle is dreadful. Okay.
Okay. You know who's worse? You know who's worse? Which can't
be careful.
No, it's Dean's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, I actually had to take a week.
He's
off.
good. Bro.
Yeah,
it's Dean. Come on. But I had to take a week off last time because Mikey's body triangle's low, and it's just compresses your fucking organs.
Yeah.
But you feel the constriction. He got me high or on my rib cage.
Oh fuck.
And the problem was, I'm like, okay, it doesn't feel that tight. I can defend this a little bit. It didn't hurt until it fucking hurt.
Yeah.
Like where Mikey with the low version, it slowly feel the constriction and you can feel it get tight and tight. Where with the Dean one, it was like with the rib cage, you're not feeling the compression. You're feeling a compression, but it's not like
right
at the lower section where there's no ribs blocking anything. And then next thing you know, I was like, my rib hurt, and it was like the whole fucking chest the next week was sore and bruised because I waited to tap.
The thing about the body triangle is that they know that the higher you get the body triangle, the worse it is, right?
Yeah.
There's only one person I've ever rolled with where I gave and give up. He got me, and I would have tapped to this body triangle regardless if he didn't take my neck. Phil Hawes. Do you know who Phil Hawes is?
No.
He fought in the UFC. He's an MMA fighter.
Okay. What episode is he on?
Oh, I forgot the one, but I did have him on
100 something.
100 and something.
I'm gonna guess 123.
I did have him on. I'll look at it. I did have him on the episode, or on the show. Excuse me. I met him at pro class.
Okay.
11 a.m. Dude. And he wasn't even trying, bro.
Yeah, it was like effortless.
He wasn't even. I think he was going 25, not even 20%.
Mm-hmm.
He gets me in a body triangle that's low on my waist, right? And
you're like, I got a chance.
I go. Oh, I'm not gonna tap to this, dude. I started feeling that herniation. Yeah. And I was like, oh no, I'm fucked. I was like, take my neck.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's, you know what's funny too about the body triangle? I don't think you get any points for that in tournaments because I like the body triangle. I like to throw it on guys when I can.
Yeah.
I got long legs. When you got long legs, it works. You know, it's a good option. But it's so weird because, and maybe somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you don't get points for that. Like, let's say Naga or IBJJ, you don't. It's not like if you get the back or if, you get 4 points for this or 2. You should get points for a body triangle. Bro. If you body triangle somebody in quick check parking lot, you're fucking controlling them. I'm just saying, so why don't you get points for that?
No, you don't. And you know who's got another hellacious, awful body triangle is Campese. And Campese also taught me, he's a
gritty roll too.
I love rolling with him.
He's a good roll.
I love rolling with him because he's also hellacious roll, but he's very controlled. He won't hurt you.
Yeah.
But it'll hurt, but he won't hurt you.
Yeah.
What's it called? Yeah, body triangle, dude. If you body triangle some dude in the fucking 7-Eleven, like you said, that person would be thinking they're gonna die.
Yeah, they'd be like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
It's all right, bro, relax.
No, you're good. I'm not choking you.
Oh god, that's great, dude.
Yeah, it's weird to me why they don't let you collect points for that. But
Campese did tell me, because you know how there's that big debate of points and then submission, so EBI as opposed to that. Campese did tell me and taught me this. He goes, the reason why points system is good, each point system in a real fight can lead to a very a street fight.
100% agree.
A quote unquote deadly. Like you could end the fight easily if you get into that position. That's why they award points.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to take anything away from the sub-only tournaments. They're really fun. They're really entertaining to watch, and they're very motivating. There's a good element to urgency in those types of tournaments. But I also think and feel that when you're operating under a points system, because it's an incentivized system, you're being incentivized. You're only getting points for control-based situations, right? So
110.
To me, I think that you should be. It's a good thing to be operating under that kind of mindset. So I think the point system is a good way to operate in your mind, in the sense that you're looking for points, but your points are only. You're only awarded points when you're controlling somebody. So you're incentivized to control. So you're constantly leading to this control situation. I mean, for entertainment purposes, people want to see subs, they want to see throws, they want to see good energy, like the Craig Jones Invitational. Like, that's good shit. It makes for good entertainment. But, like, nobody's going to sit there and watch, like, a televised IBJJF Worlds Tournament. Like, no one's going to really sit there and, like, watch that on, like, UFC Fight Pass, right? They might tune in on Flow Grappling or something and watch it because their favorite grappler is watching or their friend is there. But, so in the entertainment purposes, I get it. But for, like, quick check parking lot,
no.
Like, keep the idea of point system in your mind because you're controlling your opponent. That's the way I feel.
100%.
You know?
100%. And you want to know what? In a fight, I guarantee you, obviously, it's a lot different because the adrenaline dump's different, right?
Yeah.
But if you are trained well enough to, like, let's just say you get into that control position,
right,
and then the person that is being controlled by you just starts to understand that you have dominant control and you're not killing them.
Yeah.
That, like, subconsciously tells them, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't fuck with this person.
Yeah, that's a mind fuck.
It is.
Yeah.
And they automatically, like, unless they're, like, all drugged up, they'll calm down.
Yeah. Well, or they're so crazy that they'll keep going and they'll burn out.
And then
they'll get tired and they'll be like, you know,
they're like, you're a bitch. You're being a bitch. You're being a bitch. What is this ground game bullshit? You're being a bitch.
Right, exactly.
No, you just suck.
Yeah. But you know what? Training is one of those things also that has made me more aware of not wanting to get into, like, physical altercations. Like, when I tell you I don't want to get into fights, I really don't. Like, I don't want to get into fights out in public. If there's, like, first of all, I don't even put myself in those situations anymore.
I think that's the other thing, too, is
I'm not even around that shit.
I feel like being...
I used to be.
I feel like being at the gym is you start realizing situations that could be bad.
Yeah,
try to avoid it.
When you get beat up by somebody who in your mind doesn't fit the mold of what should be beating you up, right? I hate to use that word should. I can get into that in a second. But, you know, when you say, that guy shouldn't be beating me up, but he is, that's a really big deterrent for when you're out, because you don't know if you're out at a bar and you see some guy who
you don't want to find out the hard way.
At the guy at the gym, and you're like, that guy looks like the guy at the gym, and he might fuck me up if I get into a fight with him. I don't know.
Yeah, you
just don't know who's trained. You know,
and you know what? If that person's crazy, right?
Or they might pull a weapon. Like, you don't know.
You don't know. There's no tapping in real life.
I'm not trying to get stabbed or anything just because somebody's fucking crazy, because, you know, anything can happen. So it's not worth it. I mean, listen, if somebody fucks with my kids, you have to put it on the line.
Yeah,
like, that's one thing I tell myself, or if somebody ever hurts my kids, or I'm in public and something happens with my wife or my kids, those are those scenarios where you have to put it on the line and be willing to say, today I might die, you know, I might get stabbed, but I have to fucking go out like a man. Like,
but you know what?
I'm not doing that at a bar over like a seat. 100%.
Like, and you want to know what? Obviously, and I don't know from experience with wife and kids, but I'll equate it to family members, like, you know, anytime, or friends. I will always risk it for the biscuit. Here's the reason. That was so weird.
But so corny. I love it.
Here's the thing, though. Could you agree? Would you disagree? Let me ask you this way. Would you disagree? The negative question.
I like it.
The negative first.
Yeah. Would you disagree that you would prefer to risk it, have someone pull a knife out to defend your wife and kids, than not do anything and have them get hurt? Would you disagree that you would want to risk it?
I'll be honest, I'm having a hard time following.
Okay.
What I would say is...
You would risk it.
I would risk it to protect my family.
Okay.
I would risk it. I would not go out being like... If I had no choice, I would avoid. There's a lot of avoidance involved. So there's a lot of avoidance tactics, right? There's things you can do. You don't have to... Contrary to what, some people might say, like, if you're in a situation, you have options. You don't have to engage. If you have no choice... Like, if you're in a situation where you have no choice but to engage physically with somebody and it's over your kids or it's somebody's, groping your wife or your girlfriend and, something, they're assaulting them, like sexually assaulting them. Like, you have an obligation, in my opinion, some people might disagree. You have an obligation as a man in this life to step up. That's your chance to step up as a man and be what you're here for. It's your obligation. And if you don't do anything about it, and you're kind of like you're like taking the Beta Avenue out, like people, you let people get hurt over it. Your kids get hurt. Like, how are you going to sleep at night knowing you didn't try?
Bingo.
Bingo. You have to look at yourself in the mirror at night, and this goes.
Pretty sure that's in the Bible.
It might be. Listen, you have to
trying to start planting some seeds for this transition.
Yeah. You have to look at yourself in the mirror, and this is true with everything in life. We are the only one who has to look ourselves in the mirror at the end of the day, and we know the truths about ourselves. Well, we know, and God knows. If you don't believe in God, then fine. But I believe that myself and God are the only people who know the truth of who I am. And if I lie to everybody else about who I am, but then I go home at night and I look myself in the mirror and I know I'm not who I say I am. God knows I'm not who I say I am. You're living a lie,
Yeah.
So you got to be comfortable with who you really are and what decisions you make, See, we're always going to have regret.
Agreed.
We're always going to have those situations where you're like, oh, fuck, I should have done more. But I'm not talking those things. It's hindsight 2020. I'm talking life or death type things where you're like, you have to act.
Dude, I think most men, I'm going to speak for most men. A lot of the times, and I've had this, like you start to like replay what happened and you're like, oh, I should have done this. Mm-hmm. But when you look back on it, like, and especially like if I were to like say, bring up the scenario and you two were to think about it and be like, no, dude, you did the right thing by not engaging, right? Apart from loved ones and all that, right? Where you can't avoid it. That I will always go in. But my point is, I think most men, if they will live up to their obligation, will do something. They will. Most, not all, but will do something. And that's the important thing is you did the right reaction when you don't even think about it. It's just, what the fuck just happened right now? And you go right into it. You'll never regret that. But a lot of times when you're looking yourself in the mirror and you're like, should I have done it that way? Most times, this is my opinion, most times you're overthinking it and you made the right decision.
You did. Yeah. And that's so true. It could be how you handled a verbal altercation or how you handled something at work or something trivial. Maybe it's beyond trivial. Maybe it's something that was like, something tragic that words or something happened in your relationship or, maybe somebody fucked you over on a business deal. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios. But those scenarios you learn from, they're all learning experiences. The scenarios where, like, there's a terrorist attack and there's a kid, right? I'm just thinking crazy shit, right? Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, like, or there's a car burning and you're like, should I run over to that car? The car might blow up, but there's a baby in the car. Should I risk my life to go and try to get that baby out? Or if it's my kid? If it's my kid, I'm fucking going in there and I'm going to do what I got to do, man. I think about that shit all the time with my house. Like, fire safety is one, like, it's full transparency. That's like one of my worst fears being a homeowner is like my fucking house burning down when I'm sleeping.
I have a fire extinguisher in every room.
I got extinguishers. I got smoke detectors.
I have one in every room.
Yeah, man.
You know why? Because just because it's in the kitchen doesn't mean you can get to it.
No, the floor. Dude, you might get up and if you have a 2-story house and you have a downstairs and there's a fire downstairs and you go to step on the floor because there's smoke, that fucking floor could be so hot. Yeah. So fucking hot. You can barely walk on it.
Yeah, for sure.
And the fire's not even upstairs yet.
Dude, it's funny you said that. You brought up fire. I woke up before my alarm today, okay? I live in an apartment. I woke up in my alarm today, before my alarm, and I woke up to a text 2 minutes before I woke up. Bro, did you sleep through the fire alarm? And I'm like, Yo, I'm not that heavy of a sleeper.
Yeah.
And that apartment, when all the alarms are going off, I'll wake up to that. I didn't wake up.
Wow.
Dude.
Did you have a good workout yesterday?
Yo, legitimately.
Those body triangles.
I go, what the fuck are you talking about? I go, are you sure this was one of your floor? He's like, no, the entire building was outside. And I thank God. I was like, thank God that I thank God.
Yeah, it was like a mock situation.
Yeah, I was like, thank you for protecting me. I didn't wake up, bro. But I started thinking about that. I was like, dude, what if there was a fire and I didn't wake up?
Yeah, it makes you think,
bro.
You know? So those situations, you know, we none of us really want to have those. I'm sure some of like the military folks out there probably have more of those situations, you know, they can speak to, or law enforcement. But when you're dealing with just trivial day-to-day stuff, it's learning experiences.
Yeah.
You know, it's just stuff you look at and you say, okay, I didn't handle it the way I wanted to, but maybe next time if it happens, I'll do it this way. 100%. Doesn't mean it doesn't affect you any less. It doesn't eat you up, but you know, you learn from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
no, that is a good thing. Or that's a good point. You do learn from it, and always, like, it's so true. Like when it's like instinctual for most people. I say men because we're three men talking at a table.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure the mama bear instinct.
Yeah,
hell, bro, the
100%.
women. Yo, in the past the past 4 years, with all the shenanigans that's been going on, right? With all the bullshit that's been going on, with like the corruption and all like the shit with COVID.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Do you want to know who when you were looking at everything was predominantly the ones that were fighting back were the women, bro.
Yeah. Yep.
So shout out to you women, bro. You're doing well. No, seriously, dude. It was the women. It was like the mama bear instinct, bro.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah, it is.
You know, I think, and that's sort of a primal thing that comes out of a lot of women when they feel threatened. It's like guys feeling threatened, but like when I feel like women have this thing inside of them when they're kids. When something is off with their kids, they get like, you know, it's like, you know, it just happens, you know. And that's a good thing. You know, we not trying to be like, oh, there's gender roles for a reason, but I mean, let's be honest. There's some science, right? There's some science behind why men act the way they do and why women act the way they do. Like, let's not tiptoe around it. That's my belief. That's the truth. And I feel like society, not to go off in a different direction, but we sort of pretend like that's not true. Like we live in this alternate universe where men don't act a certain way and women don't act. Like, it's okay to be a man.
It's okay to be a man.
It's fucking okay 100%. To be, and it's okay to be a woman. Hey, newsflash, it's okay for like a woman to like a rugged man, or a man to like a gentle woman.
Bro, that's how we've been.
Wow, what a concept!
Like that's what we're like. I don't even like the word is programmed, but that's like what's programmed into you into birth. It's like you have your roles, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no. Yeah, sure, you have your outliers, and sure you're gonna.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, and sure you're gonna have your certain men or women that. All right, here. Let's talk about men, right? It is okay not to be 100% balls to the wall all the time, 100% like you want a masculine man. Right. But there are most men who, if you have majority masculine, but then there's some traits where you're a little bit chill and maybe not so much masculine, right?
Yeah.
That exists. Same thing with women. Women like to be feminine. They like to how they like to feel pretty, quote unquote, right? But then some of them
more feelings based,
right?
It's more feelings based.
But then you have them going in the gym and doing savage jujitsu. Like you can be both, right? Like and this is one thing that I believe, and I think many people share this that are of the same mindset. And now we're going to get into the conspiracy. How do you destroy a culture or society or a country that's very strong?
Weak people.
Yes. And you emasculate the men.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the things. You know, with a lot of the rabbit holes that I've been going down with. I'll segue into this, right? So there's a lot of stuff I've been reading about with regard to Homeland Security.
Yes.
With Sarah Adams, who was on the Sean Ryan podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah Adams talks about, she's a CIA expert, right? Intel expert. She talks about a lot of the threats that the Homeland, USA, faces with regard to terrorism, with regard to, attacks. And a lot of it is based on, so we know that like terrorists can't just beat us with guns and weapons. Like they can't, like nobody can compete with America when it comes to like military. Contrary to what some people say, oh, like China's catching up or America like,
would
dude,
fuck shit up.
We have so much technology and war power.
There's the military, and then there's all the gun owners also.
Yeah. Like you're not gonna storm our beaches. Like you know how you have to beat a country like us? You have to get into our country. You have to infiltrate our mindset.
Virus.
Yeah. You got to infiltrate our mindset. You got to make people think a different way.
Yes, sir.
And that's what a lot of people are doing. They're you look at how we are all pitted up against each other. We're arguing with each other about nonsense. That's how you deteriorate a country from the inside out.
Yeah.
So, and then to your point, there's all kinds of other things like attacked viruses and.
But I'm saying virus. So it's from the inside out.
Oh yeah, it's from the inside out.
It's a mental virus. Yeah. It's from the
inside out.
The poisoning of whatever the physical virus of it. It's every aspect, but generally speaking, virus.
Well, think about it this way, because I agree with you wholeheartedly. I know that's what she was talking about.
Right.
She was also talking about how going the 20 million that came through the border in the past 4 years. It wasn't just Mexican, Latin American. There were they have. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you did more. I watched the podcast.
Okay.
There were terrorist age males that came, or not even terrorist age male. There were terrorists that came through.
Sure.
Right. So this was also spoken by people who were at the border, who were securing the border, or at the time were there. You could hear a lot of those what do you call it, the guards that were there, like the military men.
Right.
They would pick up fucking licenses of or like men, like passports or whatever, documents of men from the Middle East, right? Now, no, I did not say that all men from the Middle East are terrorists, because I know that's what a lot of these some people are going to think.
Oh, there's people, just so we all are clear about this, and hold your thought, but people coming in over the border are from all countries.
Oh, that's the point.
Everywhere, bro. They're not just from like Mexico or Middle East, like they're from fucking China, Poland, like fucking
apparently
everywhere.
There was a significant amount of military-aged Chinese people.
Yes. Yeah, and it's and they don't talk about that on the news. They talk about women and children because they want you to feel bad. They want to play to your emotions. So it's important to be cognizant that there are a lot of military-aged men from all countries coming over.
Right.
Now, that mixed with this, you do what you just said. You divide from the inside. You create issues that aren't really issues, okay? So we start fighting amongst each other. Now, pair that with the making men softer. And I don't mean, look, dude, I'm a very big proponent of I hate the whole suck it up, don't be if a dude is struggling and goes to his friend and it's like, hey dude, I'm struggling, and the response is suck it up, be a man. I'm not for that. But there is the full emasculating or demasculization, I don't know what the word is, emasculation of men. They don't want you. They tried saying at some point in the past 4 years that if you were keeping in shape, you were a white supremacist. That's great because only white people are keeping in shape. What the fuck?
Yeah.
But that's by design, because here's why. Even if you don't get our generation doesn't really buy into the bullshit. Right. But the younger generation, if you can convince them that you don't need to be strong. You don't need to be physically and mentally strong. Generations down the road. You don't need to be a leader. Nope, exactly.
You don't need to be accountable.
Exactly. You don't need to be...
It's okay to be weak.
Yeah, right? Like it's okay to be a full-blown bitch. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Then, generations down the road, those men, when the strong men are gone, if you successfully do that, you have a whole country of weak men that grow up. Now you can invade. Right. And countries like China, dude, they don't play short game. They don't play those games. They play 1,000 years into the future. Yeah. You know what I mean? They look into the future.
There was something that I listened to about the concept of some of the terrorist organizations and how they operate mentally compared to our philosophy. So you always hear in America, how we will... it's an honor to fight for what we believe and to live for what we believe in, right? We want to preserve life. That's what we are. We're built on, right? And don't get me wrong. It doesn't take away from the people who are like, I'm going to die for my country. There's those people too. There's the people in the military and those warriors. But most average people are like, I want to fight for what I believe in. I want to live for what I believe in. But some of the terrorists feel so strongly that it's an honor to die for what they believe in. Like it's more of an honor to die for their belief than to like live for it. Mm-hmm. And that's scary because that means that there's a lower regard for human life, and there's a lower regard for who they view as less important than them.
Yes.
And that's the scary thing. Like, let me frame this for you. Okay, this is one of the things that got brought up. Imagine an attack where you have a multifaceted attack, okay? You have 2 or 3 people, somebody detonates something in a crowded area, and then you have everybody scattered away from that area. But then you have a collaboration with those terrorists where they say, now that everybody's scattered, we have 2 or 3 other people who are going to start doing whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay? You have a collaborative effort. We're not like really prepared for that. Like nobody really, like, first of all, most people aren't really CPR trained. Most people aren't trained for crisis management. Nobody really knows how to handle these massive scenarios where, you're dealing with like mass casualty. Like that's a scary thing for us. And we never talk about it. Yeah. We have people like Sarah Adams or other people, talking about it on podcasts, but it's not a mainstream thing. Like, why the fuck isn't it a mainstream thing? Why are we not preparing for this shit? We have intelligence saying that they're trying to they want an attack that's great. That's 3 times greater than a 9/11. Can you imagine?
Dude.
And we're not doing shit. This isn't on the news. Like,
so and this is not just my opinion. Many people know this or believe this as well. The reason for it is because it's by design. So we talk about terrorists, right? And terrorists are pieces of shit. Right? However, a lot of those people who grow up in these countries, right, who will die for that ideology, a lot of the times they have been influenced because those are war-torn countries, right? And we got the guy.
I don't know if you guys can hear on the mic, but the dogs are outside getting yelled at. Let's go.
Get him, Sam. No. If I'm going to try to boil this down, there's a select group of people, in my opinion, and the opinion of many others, right, that are, people call them elitists. I don't like to call them elite. I think they're scumbags. Mm-hmm. I'll call them globalists. Okay. Who, because they're power hungry, because they wanted one world control, right? Sure. Will create the division amongst us. So they will fund the wars to make money. They're greedy.
Well, war is one of the biggest money-making machines ever.
100%. And then what does that do? That they play chess and checkers with the lives of innocent people who they pretend to care about, but they don't. And then what happens is they're all funded by the same, like the media, all these government politicians. They're all funded by the richest families in the world, right? Who are shadows. They're never mentioned, right?
They're running it, but you never hear about it. I always say that to people when they're like, well, what do you believe? I'm like, what do I believe? I believe that there's a select group of people who run the world. And we don't know their names.
So here's the thing: right? I don't like using the word select because it sounds like they were picked.
Yes,
there is a group of people that have had money,
right?
Like significant money and power
for centuries and eons,
and influence,
years, a significant amount of years, and they play puppet master.
And and then they do it in a way where they will divide. They'll divide the populace based off of what? Race, religion, sex, whatever. Right? Whatever. Mm-hmm. But then they'll play to it. So one side will be like, oh, all right, push this propaganda to piss group A off. But then the other side will be like, all right, we got to push this to push group B off. We're fighting while they know what they're doing. And that's why. So you ask the questions like, why aren't we doing this? Well, we as people need to step up and now hold ourselves accountable because they're doing it by design. They know what they're doing. That's why. That's why, those memes that come around, all the big mainstream media, when there's like they'll always say the same fucking line.
Have you seen that one video where it's all the newscasters talking and it's
the same thing over and over and over again.
And they do each window and like before you know it, you're looking at like 20 windows from different news stations of them all repeating the same line.
Yes.
I'm like, what the fuck? This is real shit too. This is not
and that's not a one-time thing. That's very almost all the time.
Yes.
It's scripted.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's scripted. And it's by design. And it's both sides. So
but that kind of leads me into the have you been watching the Diddy thing?
did you have to go to the bathroom?
I was going to get a sweatshirt.
Oh my god!
Do you want to get the sweatshirt while we talk and you go back?
I want to hear about the Diddy thing.
All right. So have you been watching it?
I keep hearing stuff about it.
Well, you know what's going on, right?
I know what's going on, but I don't know where to find out information about it. That's
Well, here's the problem because everything is fucking a conspiracy.
You don't know if it's real or not. Yeah, it's all opinion based.
But why was what other cases? The Johnny Depp case was public. Why is this not? What was the guy? Kyle Rittenhouse. That was a huge public thing. Why is this not?
Well, I'll let you get into it, but here's what I'm going to say. And I think we all know this. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why it's not getting publicized is because Diddy in Hollywood and Epstein in everywhere else with politicians and really like rich businessmen, they were all playing the same thing, which is driven by the CIA, it's driven by Mossad, it's driven by all of them, where it is a big blackmail scheme and it's run by those in control that we spoke about. So that's why you're not hearing
Nobody wants to get thrown under the bus.
Nobody.
They were all fucking around.
I heard number 45 got implemented in the most recent days of the Diddy trial. Trump's 47.
Yeah, Trump's also 45. You mean 46?
40.
No. Sorry, 44.
Obama? Yeah, well, can you well,
I don't, this is what I heard. I don't know. This is the problem. I don't know where to find out.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, you don't know what you got to really dig into it.
So you got to dig into it. And the one thing, I'll let you get to it. The one thing about Obama, okay? So 44, whatever, YouTube, fuck it. Obama,
Shadow ban,
yeah, dude.
Whatever.
You said it.
They really got us.
The reason why Obama is implicated, and I believe he is part of it, no, it's not because he's black, folks. I think he's really a part of it. I think Bush is, by the way, 43. Bush, all of them.
The
Clinton,
Yale thing,
Bush, Skull and Bones.
I think Bush clearly had a coke issue.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Bush is part of it as well, and so is Clinton. The reason, so remember when Hillary Clinton bleached her fucking email and fucking crushed it? Yeah. There was an email that they got. Can you explain this to me? Okay. How the fuck does somebody order 40?
We're talking about Pizzagate all over again?
Yeah. How does someone order $40,000 worth of hot dogs to the White House? That was number 44.
Well, they had code names for things, and they were talking about like.
But that's come up during the Diddy trial, from my understanding, is that they were talking about pizza and all this shit. And then I saw a clip. Apparently, Steve Harvey is apparently implemented in this, and was like one of Diddy's lovers for the longest time, and killed off
Usher.
Yeah,
Usher.
But the Usher thing was been like the whole
Justin Bieber
was being groomed when he was a minor. Like,
that's why he's going off the deep end, and that's also why they're blackmailing. They have a smear campaign against Bieber now. Yeah, dude, because he's going against it.
Here's what they were doing. Okay, we all know we're not stupid.
Yeah,
they were having these freak offs. They were fucking each other. Guys were fucking guys. Girls were fucking, guys. Guys were fucking girls. They were doing all this shit. Big fucking orgies. Crazy shit. And he was filming this shit. And they were doing it with prostitutes and sex traffickers. Okay? We know this. This is why he's in court, right? For racketeering and sex trafficking. But the problem is the people that were at these parties and who were like, ain't no party like a Diddy party. Well, there's like powerful people involved and no one wants to get their shit aired out because they were all probably being filmed when they were drugged with all this baby oil.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, which was like a cocktail of, like, drugs that were basically drugging people.
What was in it? Because it was, what was it? What was it? And it was, you say, because you've been following it.
Oh, I don't know exactly. I just know it was like a drug cocktail. It wasn't like people.
It wasn't just baby oil.
No, it wasn't just baby oil. It was like a cocktail of oil that would, like, leach into your skin, apparently, and, like, drug you.
Yeah.
And so you would basically be, like, rendered helpless and just kind of, probably like Molly or something. You're, like, having fun or whatever.
The clips that are coming out now, people calling out, and, like, there was a clip I saw about Steve Harvey talking about baby oil getting everywhere and, like, praising God for baby oil, some weird shit. It's like getting all over your face and mouth. It's like, what the fuck? There's just a whole bunch of shit. But one of the alleged things that came out, Bernie Mac was direct competition with Steve Harvey. And allegedly
died.
Allegedly, Steve Harvey was taken off the face of the earth.
Ellen DeGeneres.
No, not Steve Harvey. Bernie Mac.
Bernie Mac before Steve Harvey.
So a lot of these, and that, no, sorry.
Thank you for clarifying.
No, that's fine. It was just a slip. Yeah. Bernie Mac, and then also, who was the Brittany Murphy? The one that was with Ashton Kutcher? Bro, all this
and he's got a foundation, right?
Ashton Kutcher was in Congress preaching about sex, human trafficking.
Yeah,
but he has a whole bunch of shit that was super sketchy.
Yeah. Really weird stuff.
And then Prince apparently before he died for whatever reason was talking to Diddy saying he needs to stop all this shit. And then apparently he has a tape that's going to be coming out during the case or something. Allegedly, this is all allegedly. This is the stuff that I'm seeing.
All of these celebrities that died of drug overdose or suicide. Here, Chester Bennington.
Yeah.
Okay. For those who don't know who Chester Bennington is, you definitely know him. It's Linkin Park's leading singer. Chris Cornell, Audio Slave. Yep. Okay. All these people overdosing and suicide. Avicii.
Avicii was working, I think, with Chester on some kind of documentary on stuff like this.
Bro, yes. Yes.
They both happened to die around the same time.
They were working on a documentary about
I'm gonna go
pedophilia. Okay. Okay, this is where it gets really fun. All right. And fun is not the right word to use because we're nothing but interesting. Yes.
Right.
Fun was not the right word to use. Interesting. Chester Bennington, if I remember what I read correctly, his mom was friends with John Podesta.
Really?
You know, and John Podesta is the campaign manager of Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
Okay. Who the Podesta brothers have a weird fucking like their house has like weird paintings of like all this like sacrifice. It's weird, and they were also involved or allegedly
That's
involved
like the
in
Denver airport artwork.
Yes.
You ever seen that shit?
Yeah.
With like fucking swords and gas masks and little kids like on their knees.
Right.
Dude, weird shit.
Weird
I've flown
shit.
in there and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Bro,
I didn't believe it until I saw it with my own eyes.
It's satanic.
It's satanic.
Now, John Podesta, I'm gonna pull this up and I'm gonna get Timmy to put it onto YouTube. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna fucking show you this, but I'm gonna explain it first. So, Chester Bennington allegedly didn't know who his father was growing up. Had a stepfather. Okay. But his mom was friends with John Podesta. Okay. Mm-hmm. And Chester Bennington, the allegedly, I believe it, the reason why he was killed is he was making a documentary of all this pedophilia. Okay. Right. Because allegedly Chester Bennington was suffering from this pedophilia. He was the one, like, he had like sex. He was a victim. Yeah. Right. Now, here's the fun part. And honestly, I'm going to show you the two. Motherfucker.
You got to put this up too.
Yeah. Can you please put this up for us? Like when I'm at the show.
Sure.
At this point. Timestamp around an hour and a half, but I'll send it to you. Chester Bennington. Okay.
You talking about his dad?
And John Podesta.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's so crazy.
So apparently Chester Bennington and John Podesta, allegedly Bennington is a victim of child abuse, child molestation.
Right.
We know Podesta's into some weird fucking shit. It's Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, right? Oh my God. I am so fucking sorry, but you cannot tell me that these two are not related. I'm about to show you.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Text me that picture.
Yeah. I'm going to send this. I want you to please put this up on the thing. I want you guys to say, okay, Joe, you're a conspiracy theorist. One's Chester Bennington, the other one's John Podesta. Yeah. Look at these fucking two.
The gaslighting is on another level.
Oh, it's on another level, dude. It's bad.
You know, the American people, they're just treated like it's just a toxic relationship. It's almost like you feel like you're in this relationship where like your partner, your partner's like doing whatever X, Y, and Z, but yet, you're like, I know this is true, and they're like, no, like that's kind of how the federal, like the whole conspiracy of all of it, and they treat people like us.
Yeah.
We're like, we can connect the dots, like we're not idiots. No way. Like you could call a spade, and they'll still be like, nope, it's not a spade.
Yeah.
You can see with your own eyes.
You mean like how the COVID vaccine was causing myocarditis and a bunch of heart issues, and now it's coming out?
Now it's come out, dude.
Dude, I didn't take it.
I didn't take it either.
I almost died on the mats.
Really?
I'm not joking. I've talked about this before. I was
fortunate that I was not forced to with work or anything.
I took the J&J. I had to with work.
Yeah.
I took the J&J because I wanted to only do one shot. And apparently that was the first one that came off the market. But I was rolling with Antoine. I was on the mats, and I just had to roll up into a ball. I was in so much pain, and it happened so quickly, I couldn't even say tap. I couldn't even stop.
Remember the videos of all those people like just fucking fainting on TV and athletes fainting on the field, and people are like, "What's going on,
dude?" And then they would like, if you even mentioned the vax, people would like fucking crucify you, and it's like,
"Oh my god, why would you say that?"
I think there was like, I forgot what the statistic was. From 2000 or 2004 to 2019, the amount of soccer players that dropped, like regardless, like all pro levels, not just the top pros, was like an insanely small amount, because soccer is very strenuous on the heart, right?
Is. Yeah.
And they're
very aerobic,
right? Yeah. And there are those freak accidents where people have cardiac arrest on the field and died. It's happened before COVID shot. Once the COVID shot happened, bro, I think there was like 500 people within a year in soccer general that were like dropped.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just soccer.
It's a shame too, because, vaccines as a whole can be a good thing depending on what you're vaccinating for. Like polio, right? I've had this conversation with my wife. Like polio was a good thing. People were dying like crazy, and when they came out with a vaccine for that,
so there's a whole thing on that, and that's not accurate. That's more propaganda.
You think so?
It's 100%.
Because they said, I'm curious about this.
Polio,
because I've had this conversation with her. And I'm
Joe Rogan had this girl on who wrote a whole book on this, and she did not start out as anti-vax. Okay. She was a doctor, and I forget the whole thing she got into it. You can go listen to her. I forget her name was.
I'm gonna look this up. So keep going.
Yeah.
But her thing was like, this person's in here for like cancer treatment. You guys want to vaccinate them, or they were in there for something like you want to like they're compromised right now. This is not when you vaccinate. And then like she was getting pushed back, so she started looking into it more and more and more. The whole polio thing started as a byproduct of DDT.
Is this the Dr. Susan Humphreys?
I believe that's her.
You got to put that up too.
Let's see.
No, but go listen to her. Don't listen to what I'm saying, because I'm regurgitating her words in sloppy version.
That chick.
That's Dr. Rhonda Patrick. It looked like.
Oh, hold on, sorry.
So the polio thing was almost a byproduct of DDT. It started in rural areas, and then a lot of the vaccination stuff. I just listened to Aaron Rodgers and Joe Rogan talk about this today. That was one of the most recent podcasts. The decrease in these diseases started with the improvement of sanitary conditions, sewer systems, clean water, better hygiene, washing your hands, shit like that. That's where a lot of these significant things come down. And then you can even go look at any chart of the disease itself and when the vaccine was implemented. They even said you don't implement a vaccine during a pandemic, right? That was one thing a lot of people said. I don't know why, but you don't. I think it's something to do with mutations and shit. But the vaccine was not the reason why polio stopped. The same thing with measles, all this shit. It's not why it stopped. Yeah, that's
the other thing too. Like measles is the new one now. I don't know if you saw the most recent article where they said anybody who was at the Shakira concert has been exposed to measles. And I'm like, oh, they were in an outdoor dome with 80,000 fucking people. Yeah, you're going to scare everybody?
Yeah. One person had it. One person.
Like, come on. What are we doing?
And they keep talking about measles outbreaks. And if you look at the measles outbreaks, it's ridiculous. And then that's another thing keeps coming up on the Joe Rogan. Sorry, I'm annoying. I talk about Joe Rogan. But it keeps... How much of the measles stuff is... So you can get a measles... from the vaccine. It is possible. Don't say it's not. It is 100% possible. And 90% of the measles that come out is asymptomatic. So just it's all propaganda. And here's my biggest issue with that. And that's RFK's pushing now, is to have the double-blind placebo test. None of this has been safety tested. None of it.
Right.
None of it. They never have been required to.
Like clinical trial type thing.
None of it. There's no proof. There's no actual concrete evidence of it being effective and safe and all this bullshit that they say it is. They do garbage science to push through. They nitpick the statistics they want, and then they say, okay, so like back to the measles, right? We have a significant increase in measles.
Right.
That doesn't mean anything. You can go from 0 to 2 people. In all of the millions of people in the States, that's a significant increase.
Right.
That's a statistical increase. 0 to 2. Significant. That's an arbitrary term. You're not saying what it's actually.
Compared to what's
that's an arbitrary thing.
Sample set?
So what is the sample set? What is actually happening? You're lying. They do this all the time with statistics. Yeah. You have to go and look at the actual studies that they did. And I'll bring this back. I've talked about this a lot with dogs. Every time I talk to dogs and dog food, they said, don't have grain free. You need grain in the diet. I went and looked at the fucking study. They compared like 10 different things. It was kibble with grain, kibble without. It was homemade food. It was raw food. It was a whole bunch of different shit. You know what didn't have? It was a heart disease or some shit like that. There was not that much difference between grain-free and non-grain-free kibble. It was like maybe out of like 30 and 33. Huh. It was like, okay, so that's not significant enough. You need to do a bigger study. That's showing, okay, maybe this is the case.
Right.
But it's such a small sample group and such a small number, you can't honestly say anything from that. And then if you look into it more, the kibble had the issues. Right. The homemade food had significantly almost next to nothing. And same with the raw and all that. So they pick garbage science and they nitpick what they want to promote the thing they want to. They're selling. And they're selling it. And they're not lying. Yeah. Here's the thing: they're not lying. That's why words matter and how you say it matters. This is 100% effective. Well, it wasn't 100% effective. It was just the way you got to the 100% effective was 2 people got sick versus the 3 people that weren't vaccinated. So that's 100% more effective. It's like, what the fuck? You're just making up science on this.
Well, that was like when my son was born, and the nurse came in. I don't know if it was like a day after he was born or whatever, but they're like, you have to give him, or you should give. I don't know how they framed it. But
they get aggressive and really pushy. You
got to. There's like a couple vaccines they have to get. The hepatitis B is one of the vaccines.
Oh, that's bullshit.
That your children have to get it like a newborn. Let me ask you something. If you look at the statistics and the data on people getting hepatitis B, right? It's usually people who are sharing needles, right? Drug use,
it's
blood
an STD,
to blood,
basically.
or it's a sexually transmitted disease. Why are we giving newborn babies?
And they say it's to protect against the mother. First off, you can test the mother. Second of all, the fucking umbilical cord was just fucking connected to the baby. So if the mother had it, the kid fucking has it. That's like all of it's nonsense,
bro. And then there's another big problem, because if
some of our science friends might actually come out and be like, "Let me prove you wrong."
Well, go ahead. No. Show us the studies that show any of this.
I'm happy you brought that up.
I'm okay with that.
No. I'm happy you brought that up, because one thing I just want to clarify here, because I know you said, and I don't think anything of it, but people watching like, oh, he just said he watched a podcast with a quarterback and a podcast host and UFC commentator and comedian. How is that valid? Do you know how many fucking doctors were silenced, lost their medical license, jailed during COVID for saying that COVID were either speaking against about how it wasn't as deadly as the science portrayed it to be.
Well, just
how
like
the vaccines are deadly.
He was granted immunity,
exactly.
The vaccine bullshit. Ivermectin not being healthy,
people lost their fucking license, and the reason why you don't know about it is because the media didn't cover it. Yeah. So there's been plenty of fucking reputable doctors who have spoken against this. They just don't get the platform.
And have been on the Rogan podcast too.
And another thing, yes, have been on the Rogan. Dr. Mercola is one that comes to my mind.
Yeah. He was just testifying in Congress too.
Yes, he was. And guess what? He's a cardiologist, by the way. Look that guy up.
Yeah, Mercola. Yeah. My father actually got me on him.
Really?
Yeah, he's good. You gotta read about Mercola.
Dude, he's fucking good.
Shit. Yeah.
Dude, I was just listening to a podcast today where they played the hearing of him at Congress saying how one of the guys, this Korean gentleman who got the COVID vaccine in the beginning, he died 8 hours after getting admitted to the hospital. He said that it looked like someone took a blowtorch to his fucking heart. That's how inflamed the heart was.
Yeah.
So
they're seeing
and little boys who are getting the vaccine, getting heart problems, myocarditis. Yeah.
And how about
that's even if you survive, that's unrepairable. The heart is not. It doesn't recover. It's forever damaged.
Yep. So here's the thing. I'm glad you brought up Fauci with the preemptive pardon. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do people get pardoned? Right? Why do people get pardoned? People get pardoned because they did something wrong, and then evidence came out to prove that they didn't, so they get a pardon. Why would you need a preemptive pardon if you didn't do anything wrong in the first place?
Right. pretty strange to me.
Pretty strange.
You know, it's kind of implicit. It implies,
right? You're
like
telling
what we're
on
talking
yourself.
about.
You're telling on yourself.
You're telling on yourself. Right. Yeah. It's crazy shit, man.
Yeah. But, so I think RFK just came out within the last couple of days saying like, hey, don't just take what any medical provider tells you at face value. Do your research.
Yeah.
Be skeptical and get what's it called? Informed consent.
Yeah.
Actually doing informed consent.
Yes.
And that's the biggest thing I have is like, if you want to vaccinate, that's fine. But actually understand what's happening. And they don't fucking tell you. And if they do give you information, it's not honest. It's very disingenuous.
The problem is, I think the industry has become so bastardized with money and greed that any kind of...
I don't think it has. I think it's always been.
But yeah,
I think
gotten
it's
worse.
always been.
It's gotten worse.
So if you go back to... This is my rough understanding, is that the Rockefellers back in the day went and studied all the medical industries that was out there and then decided, okay, well, we can control the pharmaceutical industry, and then they bought up as many schools as possible, funded it as much as they possibly could, and then pushed pharmaceuticals. And that was the main science. And that's what is today the main science. Right. Homeopathy, not the main science. It's looked down upon. Insurances won't cover it. All the other shit is not covered because the pharmaceutical industry, the pharmaceuticals and all that main science that we have now for medical is the main thing because it was pushed. It was the main push in all the medical schools. All this other stuff got pushed away, and it was like shunned.
Well, just look at all the things that are considered non-FDA approved, like the methylene blue and the peptides that everybody's all on and all this shit. Yeah. It's like people are doing these things and they're seeing good results.
Dude, the fact that weed is still illegal.
It's crazy.
Federally legal and is a class 3 or whatever.
Medicinally, it's by the way, I got a lot of heat from my friend jokingly, but he made a good point, and I realized it when I did the weed about it being overrated, but I've never tried it. He goes, how can you say something's overrated if you didn't try it? I was like, fair, but I'm sticking to my point.
Yeah.
But medicinally, it has a lot of great fucking attributes.
There's benefits a bunch of shit out there.
People who are struggling with like PTSD.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's a lot of drugs out there that are still federally legal, and they have scientifically shown, like, go ahead, back to Joe Rogan. He's had a bunch of people on with maps. There was one guy who just listened to a couple weeks ago. He was talking about, I think it was acid or something like that they're using for like therapy treatment for PTSD and stuff. So there's mushrooms. I forget the guy. He was a Jewish doctor. Mm-hmm. But there's a whole bunch of all these psychedelics, if done in the proper way, have medical benefits.
I'll tell you what, though, I don't do psychedelics. I don't do drugs.
Where's Phil?
Yeah, I drink once in a while, but like, I think if I were really sick, like if I had cancer and I was like, oh my God, I'm in constant pain, and my only option to maybe feel better would be like to take something that would like put me in a different psychedelic state of mind, I might try it. I might do it just because I'm desperate to feel better. Mm-hmm. Maybe it'll have a good result. As far as like doing it recreationally, I don't do that. But I also like, and I used to be more rigid on this. I used to be like against people who did it and be like, oh, it's mind altering. What are you doing? You're throwing your life away. Like, listen, if you want to go in your house, you're in your own safety of your own home, you want to take a gummy and get all fucked up and it helps you in some weird way, like that's your business. Like, go ahead. Like, I don't know why we sort of demonize that, but then like everybody's allowed to drink alcohol, and alcohol ruins people's lives. It fucking almost ruined my life.
Yeah, you told about this.
Yeah, like, and I'm able to just like drink recreationally, like,
which is awesome. A lot of people can't do that.
Yeah, a lot of people can't, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people are in AA. They can't. They're like proud of their sobriety, like X amount of days,
which is great.
Which is great. More power to them. You know, I'm not saying I'm better than I like.
Just different.
I am just different, you know, and but like it tears people's lives apart. It tears families apart, and for some reason, it's just financially pushed.
Well, know? Yeah, it's financially
tons of
pushed.
marketing, tons of money in it, you know.
And there's a lot of benefit to look. There's one thing. Look, I'm not gonna destroy on Western medicine because Western medicine helps. If I snap my leg, God forbid,
there's a lot of good stuff.
I want a surgeon to put my leg back together, right?
Right.
Now, there's a lot of things, and you hear stories. I've read books on it. I've mentioned this on the show. God created us. And if God created us, that means we come from God. Okay? If we come from God, that means we have an ability. I think the most powerful remedy to any sickness, yes, I said any sickness, and I know that sounds absurd. I don't care, is the human body and the soul and the mind. Do you know who Dr. Joe Dispenza is? No. Okay. He is very much, he was a doctor and chiropractor. And now he does a lot of things with the mind, subconscious mind, meditation, manifestation, all that good stuff. In his book, he explains how he was big into biking, right? He liked to do like all those biking things. He was practicing for one of the races and got fucking hit by a car going 40 miles per hour on his bike, right? The doctors were saying, you must get this back surgery. If you don't get this back surgery and you move your back in one wrong position from now until when you leave, you'll be paralyzed for life. Wow. But he was like, there is no fucking way I'm getting a fucking rod in my spine because I'm not going to be able to do the things I like. Yep. Every doctor thought he was a crazy motherfucker. He said, nope, I'm not doing the surgery. I think I know how to cure this. He would obviously, for 6 months, it sucked, but he was, and read his book. It's his first book. I forgot. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. He would obviously have to it sucked for like 6 months. He was just chilling on his bed, but he would visualize himself. This is what the power is. He would visualize himself in the future, or even at that moment that he's doing everything he likes. He's walking with his family. He's gone on his bike. He's swimming, blah, blah, blah. Well, sure fucking shit, the body healed himself. He went back to the fucking surgeon that like months later, fully healed. And the guy was like, I don't know what the fuck happened, but you're fine. There are people too who talk about stories where they're in stage 4 cancer, right? This one guy was on the Greg Anderson's Endless Endeavor podcast. I don't remember the episode, but the guest's father had stage 4 cancer, a cancer that was going to kill him. And he spoke to the dad, right? And he was like, dude, I'll do anything at this point. If you want me to visualize me being healthy and use the power of the brain, I'll do it. The dad was cured. Wow. Now, you have to believe it. Like when you're going all in on that, you have to believe that you're gonna be healthy, and you have to just not let any of the bad thoughts come in. If that's not we call it miracle. We call it coincidence. We call it luck. I think our body, if we were created by God and God is perfect, there's got to be something to it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that because it brings me into one of the guys I've been reading a lot about, who's Wes Huff. Yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm. Why do I know that name?
He's the Bible. He's like a Bible expert.
Yeah, okay. So he's like a Christian apologetic, right? So he's a theologian. He's an expert in manuscript and I guess you would say subtext.
I think he's been on Rogan.
Yeah, he's very knowledgeable, and he had a similar experience where he was paralyzed and somehow, got better. But God, I mean, I'm a Christian, and I'm a believer in God, and I think that. Yes, to your point, look, there's a lot of people who could argue that and say, what about like childhood cancer? Those kids want it so badly, but they don't get...
There's a link to vaccines on that.
There's so many things we don't have the answer to, and we don't know why. And I think that it's something that's just beyond what we're capable of understanding. Mm-hmm. And that's why we have to have faith. Mm-hmm. We have to look at our lives where we're at now, and not to, come off like some preacher, because I'm not perfect. And I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I still make mistakes.
We all do.
We all do. That's why we're human. But you got to kind of... My approach is I look at it, and the older I get, especially having kids, it's really drawn me more into my faith with God. And I look at where I'm at and what's important to me. And I always say to myself, I love my kids and I love the people around me who I love or genuinely love. I love them so much that I don't want this to be it. And the only way that I can assure myself that this isn't it, and that I'll have a chance to be with them however it is, right? Because when we die, we don't have eyes. So, what is it? We're in spirit with them. However that can happen, how do I achieve that? And the only answer is through everything I read, through everything I look at, through all my life experiences. It's the way to God. It's the way to Christ. That's it, man. You have to just give your life to God. You have to accept what comes at you. Some people are not religious, so I would never push that onto people, but I would say that it's good to get in touch with that side, because this can't be it, right? Like, one of the things that was said was a lot of, agnostic people will say that they don't believe, they'll believe in, the virgin. This is not my words, right? But they believe in the virgin birth of the universe, but not the virgin birth of Christ. How can you believe that the universe was created out of nothing, but it's so hard for you to believe that Jesus was born from a virgin? He was born from, how, you know what I mean? Like, you're contradicting yourself when you're saying the Big Bang happened because, bam, everything was the size of a pin, and boom, everything blew up, and here we are. But yet you can't. It's so hard for you to get your head around the fact that there was a God that sent his son into the world to forgive our sins so that we could have eternal salvation. To me, I'm going with that side of it. And I'm not forcing religious views on anybody, but
I always like that. I always like the idea of people having a problem with stuff that was said at 2,000 years ago, but is quick to believe something that happened 13.8 billion years ago.
Right.
But like I said, I'm actually getting to a point now, because I was raised Catholic, right? Mm-hmm. Catholic, Christian, whatever. I'm getting to a point where I definitely believe there's a God. I believe our soul and spirit go somewhere after, right? I believe God is the one who created life. I believe that there was Jesus and Christ. I believe all that stuff.
Holy Trinity,
all that. I think, though, and I've said this before, and I'm starting to get to this point, and I'll explain why. I'm thinking all the religions have their points. All the focal point is to a God, okay? Mm-hmm. A source, a God. They all have their own stories, but it all comes back to the same God. They call it different. Islam calls it Allah. I don't know. The Jews call it God. Yahweh. And it's the same thing, in my opinion. And the reason why I think this goes back to a perfectly orchestrated division. So you have that powerful being of God.
The organization of it all.
The organization was meant to divide. That's my opinion. Because what I'm thinking is this. You have X amount. I'm going to give numbers here. I don't know the statistics of how many Christians versus Jewish versus Muslim. I don't know that, right? Buddhist. I don't know the actual like. But let's just say 70%. Okay, we're going to go with 70%. Right? Of a group of here, 70% are Christian. 20% are Muslim, 5% are Jewish, and 5% are Buddhist in this group of people. Okay.
Right.
So you're telling me that because this person was born in this denomination and this person was born in this denomination, that this person is damned, or this person is damned, and this person saved, this person saved. I think that all points to the same thing. Because if we all came from God, we're all God's children. Right. I have no problem with how Christians view it, how Jewish view it, how Muslims view it. I think it's all saying the same thing. Cultures just derive the different bit of the story of what they believe, and they're entitled to that belief. I think we're all one.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. But the stories change throughout the years. And if anybody really wants to dig really deep into this, and they have opposing views or agreeable views, I would say really, and not just because I bring him up, really dig into Wes Huff's content. Mm-hmm. Listen to him, because he's a PhD expert in theology. Like, he's not just somebody who's like a Christian fanatic who's trying to shove his views on you. He backs it up with context and facts. He's he's 100% fact based.
Yeah.
In the sense that he uses literature and context and artifacts and things from
he provides many proof with his
provides
points.
A lot of proof that you just can't deny. When you start listening to him, you're like, oh my God, like I never realized that. Like, I can't even go into it because it's so beyond, anything I could really elaborate on. But I just fall back onto the same idea that you're saying. Like, yes, there's a lot of division, and the organization, I think, of religion as a whole tends to sometimes divide people and make people feel like, oh my God, am I going to go to hell if I don't believe this? Am I a bad person if I don't do this? Like, none of us really know that answer, right? We don't know if the Christians are right or the Muslims or maybe the Jewish people are right. You know, like maybe Jesus never was the Messiah. Like, you know, you just believe what you believe based on your life experiences and the facts that you're presented. And, you know, for me, a lot of it is life experience. A lot of it is based on what I've had in my life and the things that I've, you know, prayed about.
Yeah.
Life experiences. You know, for me, it's a little bit undeniable. And that's just, again, just based on some of the things that I've experienced, the people I've talked to. You know, I'll give you a funny example. I was with my friend one time, and we were talking about religion. We went out to eat, and we're talking about religion. We're talking about everything in the world. Like, we were having one of those, like, deep conversations where, you know, we're just, like, talking about everything messed up in the world and the news. And we're at this Mexican restaurant, and I shit you not, right? They had all this old, like, you know, art on the tables. Like, all the tables had, like, cool artwork on them and, like, paintings on all the tables. And every table was different. And I swear to God, I shit you not, I looked down after we're talking about religion and we're talking about, like, purpose and everything. And I looked down, and right in front of me was it was on the table. It was a building, a painted building with 3 crosses on the top of it. And I was like, this shit just didn't happen for no reason, right? Like,
that's not coincidence.
Like, there's no fucking way. Like, I looked around, too, and I looked around all the tables when we left. I looked around on the walls. Nothing. There was the only table we were sitting at, and there was a building with 3 crosses on the top of it, on, like, one on each little, like, pier of the buildings. And I'm like, what? I even said to my friend John, I'm like, what are the odds of this? Dude. Like, we're talking about religion, and there's 3 crosses right on this. Just weird shit like that, where you're like, it's undeniable. Like, call it coincidence, if you will.
No, it's not. I don't. Look. I won't argue with you if you believe in. I don't think based off of what I
would never force. Like, I'm not trying. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not coincidence. No, coincidence is for me. I know that sounds crazy for people to think you don't believe in coincidence. Actually, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. I believe it's all. It all happens for whatever reason you assign it. Mm-hmm. For example, there was a thing that happened. This happened to me. It was 2 months ago. And I didn't need to. I just wanted to have fun and test it. I was like, all right, if I'm on the right track, which I know I am on the right track, but I was like, all right, God, I don't need to ask you this because I have faith. But I was like, if I'm on the right track with this thing, just show me. And when it's close, I was like,
right. Reveal something to me.
I was like, show me a pink car. How many fucking pink cars do you see on the fucking road? Right. I was like, show me a pink car. And no, I was like, I don't want to see a pink car and by the way, that is still a sign. If you see a pink car in a magazine, I was like, let's be specific. I want to see not a toy. I want to see a fucking driving pink car. Mm. It was a Sunday. I was walking in Morristown and I wasn't even thinking about it. And all of a sudden I just turned my head to the left and I'm like, motherfucker. And I was like, it's a pink car. I was like, and I sort of like got chills and I looked up to the sky. I was like, all right. I knew I was on the right track.
Yeah, it's weird.
I got coffee. I go walking up the street, up in the thing. Another pink car, different one. Mm-hmm. Behind that motherfucker, 15 feet, another pink car.
Like, oh, you wanted the sign?
Yeah, he was like,
wanted a sign? I gave you all the signs.
And then 2 days later, a different pink car. I was like, okay, I'm close. No worries, gotcha.
He's like, thou shalt not test the Lord, but I'm going to give you those pink cars.
He gave me 4 in 2 days.
Wow. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, to me, it's undeniable. And there's I've had a lot of experiences similar to the one I was mentioning. I mean, there's too many to just kind of like go through. I'd have to really think of them. I had experiences, on my own, just with my own life and my own faith. And it's so weird, but like, call it like intervoices or whatever. But if you just sit and you meditate, some people meditate in silence. If you sit and you try to talk to God, whatever your life is about, you're not going to just get like this loud like voice in your head that says, here, do this, like that's not, I don't believe that's to be the true version of how it works. But I do think that, God leads you into different scenarios. Like he kind of led us here to talk about this getting brought up, right? Like this, it just wasn't like coincidence that we're like, hey, we're going to talk and this stuff gets brought up. And there's a reason why like your audience might hear this. Maybe somebody in your audience might, be able to attribute something we're talking about to their own personal life. And hey, listen, if it helps one person, then
damn
like,
straight.
That's, to me, that's like spreading God's word.
Hell yeah.
That's what it's all about, like whether or not you believe it or not, at least if it helped them, forget God aside, guess what? It helped.
Yeah. And you want to know what, dude? If people get turned off by the word God, then do whatever source. I hear that word, universe. It's all the same thing.
Yeah. But energy,
whatever, dude. Just use it. You don't fight it. Like, just use it. And if there is a sign and there's an opportunity that God gives you to then capitalize on it and you miss it, right. I think a lot of people then tend to close up, be like, oh, it wasn't meant. No, relax. Right. You missed that opportunity. You better damn believe if you keep your faith, another opportunity to get what you were chasing is going to come up again. Be patient.
Right. I think, too, one of the things I always try to tell myself is you never want to, ask God to give you stuff, right? You want to ask God to give you strength. You want to ask God to give you wisdom, to give you, insight. But I feel like, and that was like sort of when I grew up as a kid, I grew up as a Catholic and, they used to say like, don't ask God for stuff because that's not how it works. And I believe that, like you really don't want to be like, God, please give me that car. I've always wanted, Maybe you might get lucky and God might lead you into good directions, but like God doesn't work in ways where he's like, hey, I'm going to give Timmy what he wants. But, Al, on the other hand, is going to have to carry the cross for the rest of his life. And then we all say like, why is that fair? Life isn't fair. We don't know. None of us know why some people die at birth or some people get run over by cars and some people become, millionaires and some people, we just don't know. We don't have answers for it. And I think happiness ultimately comes down to what you're doing with your life and what makes sense. That's why for me, like with, I was saying having kids, that's one of the biggest things in my life that opened my eyes. It was like, I no longer look and say, oh my God, I don't want to die. Like, I don't want to die because I don't want to leave my kids. Like, I feel bad, like not being around for them. It's not like this thing where I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to die because I don't want to leave behind all my jewels. I want to like clench them and keep them tight to me. Like, I really don't have that much shit, like the memories are important to me. If I miss training, I'm hanging with my kids or something, or if I'm, that to me is like the time that's well spent. You can't get those memories back. You can't redo the time when you're with your kid or when you're with your loved ones. You don't, those memories, they come and go. Like the days go short, but the years go fast. It's so true, man. You blink your eyes. You're like, hey, we just did the podcast. How many years ago was that?
Yeah, dude. It was fucking 2. It was like literally 2 years ago. Maybe a little bit more. Yep. 121 is what? Not more than 2 years ago.
And then the older you get in life and the more shit comes into your life, the faster it seems to go. And it's like this one guy told me one time at a restaurant, I came in and I had, I was with my family. And he was this older gentleman, like older as in like maybe like, I want to say it was like late 80s. And he was like, oh, what a nice family you have. And I said, oh, thanks. He's like, oh, it was so nice. He was just engaging in small talk. And then he goes, enjoy it while you can. Because he goes, once you get to my age, he said, it's like holding on to a slippery rope. And he goes, when you're young, you have all this strength. You can hold on to this rope, but as you get older, the rope starts getting more slippery, and you start realizing that you're sliding down that rope towards the end. And he's like, you're holding on, but no matter what, you just can't stop. You're inevitably going to the end of that rope. Dude, he was saying this in like a pizzeria. My wife remembers, and I was like, oh yeah, thanks for that. And then like, it really stuck with me when he said that, because I looked and I said, this guy probably was my age one day. He was, he was probably a strong guy. He was like a healthy guy. And here he is now, like looking at some guy with his family coming in who's literally half his age, or less, and being like, oh my God, what I would do to just have that again. But it's over with because that part of my life is gone, So the last thing you want to do is like wake up at that point in your life and be like, shit, I pissed it all away.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
It's a terrible feeling.
That's why you always got to fucking take advantage.
Yeah. It's funny. And on that same exact concept, I've heard it brought up a lot recently. It's probably on Rogan. Maybe it was Instagram reel, but it was someone talking about like when your kids are throwing a tantrum or whatever. And then it's like, fast forward 20 years from now.
Yep.
And your kids are they're living with their wife and you don't see them that often.
Yeah, you can't get them on the phone. You're calling them, they're not picking up.
Yeah, it's like you don't see them that often. Maybe they move to another state, whatever. You don't see them. Wouldn't you love to be back in this moment? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, they didn't put their fucking clothes away. They're throwing a tantrum because they can't have the last cookie or whatever the fucking case is. You would look back, say you're 80, or this guy is 80 years old, and he doesn't see any of his family because everyone has their own family doing their own thing. It's you look back like, okay, if put myself in 80 years when I'm 80, looking at this situation, I would love to be back here.
Yeah, we'll do anything just to have the life, the youth, the family. You know, even if you don't have a family, even if that's not your path. If you're like, I don't ever want to get married, and I don't.
You still have family though. You don't have a wife and kids. You have family.
You'll still have family. You'll still have friends. You'll still have experiences. Family. Some people make their friends their family. They're like, I don't want to get married and I don't want kids, but I'm really close with my friends, and their friends become their family. But if you don't have any of that, you don't enjoy it, and you're this, some bitter person. What a way to live your life. You know, who the fuck would want to?
No.
It's a dangerous thing because a lot of people I see, a lot of men especially, don't. Not a lot, but there's a selective amount of men who don't have enough insight, or maybe it's maturity, to see that you're going to get to that point in your life. And I don't know what it'll take. It might take losing a parent. It might take, meeting the love of your life. It might take having kids. For me, it was like having kids. Like when I started raising my stepson and he got older, and then I had my little guy, it all started clicking in my mind, and I started really being like, oh my God, I started thinking about my mortality. And like, that's when I really started thinking like, I gotta like make sure that I'm being a good person. I'm not perfect and I'm gonna still make a lot of mistakes, but I just want to try to make sure that like my shit's in order as I get older, so yeah,
and
it's too short.
And that right there too is like the point of having your shit in order is not because you want to like make sure that I'm doing good so that I go to heaven. It's like it's like okay,
it's maybe a legacy for your but it's
kids like too, I like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I want to do the right thing. I'm trying like my goal isn't because I want to. It's not like I want to get the black belt because I want to be the black belt. It's like, no, I want to go on this journey and I want to be the best person I can be because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I want to do the good thing. I want to be the example for my kids. I want to be the best person in what I was set out on this earth to do. Not, I just want to, be good so I can get to, have a good plaque on my tombstone at the end.
No,
or whatever the case is.
You're not trying to get brownie points.
Yeah.
That's a funny thing that you bring the black belt up.
Yeah.
That's like another thing. It's like we training in something like jiu-jitsu, you for me, the black belt in jiu-jitsu is more than just a belt in the sense that like, oh, like I got a belt and I'm a black belt. Like I want to achieve that because when I'm that guy who's 80 years old talking to another young family, like I want my kids to look at me and be like, Dad did some hard shit. Like
he crushed it.
He crushed it. He did some hard work, right? It's like when like a military person dies and they have the flag on the, they put it on the coffin, and it's like everybody's like, oh yeah, we remember he was in the middle. Like it's a good reflection of like who they were. It's hard to remember who that person was when they're old and frail. You forget. Like you see these guys that were in wars and they're in wheelchairs. You're like, that dude was a badass in his day. But we forget because your body, it's like an avatar. It fucking morphs but you're still the same person,
Still the same spirit, bro.
Still the same spirit, man. You can't take that. Like, I remember how I used to think when I was like I was like 8 years old. I mean, like we were all still in the same brain. Our bodies just change and we have no control of that. But, chasing like a black belt, like you were saying, you get to give that back. You get to give that.
You build
hard
your legacy.
Work. Nobody can take that away from you, what you did to achieve that.
Nope. No one can take it away from you. But you know what the funny thing is?
Even if you're not good.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Training, whatever you're training, working out, it's actually so good because you actually can control to an extent your body.
Right.
Like, we all make the jokes, and our body's always in pain. But
you can like decelerate. Is that even a word?
Yeah, decelerate.
The process of aging.
A process of aging by staying in shape, by doing, even if it's just fucking walking for 30 minutes, dude. That has a huge fucking impact. And obviously, the more you do, the more you decelerate. But it's like, we always make the jokes with jiu-jitsu. Oh, my body hurts. And sure, dude, like, obviously. But you're actually staying young as fuck, really dude. Is. Have you, dude, you're how old are you?
40.
Damn, bro, I thought you were still 35.
Damn, you're 40, bro. Man. You look good for 40.
Yeah, dude, I thought you.
Everybody always says that. I'm 40 years old, man. You know,
I would have guessed 36, 37.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
40, man. I just turned 40 in January.
Oh, all right. Well, happy belated.
Did you do anything good for the Big 4-0?
No, I hung out with my wife. We went out to a nice restaurant. We go to James on Main. You ever been there? Shout out to James on Main.
No shout out.
They're not even going to see this, but they're good. They're in.
We need the air horn button.
Yeah, right.
Shout out.
They are a phenomenal restaurant.
Is it Hackettstown?
Yeah, anybody who's ever been there knows it's like a course style meal. Very good, farm to table. Like they course it. There's like
course. I think they said core.
Yeah, course style. So they bring out the first, second, third. It's a little pricey. You'll probably spend, like $100 a person. It's like an occasion type thing.
Yeah,
you're not going to go there like on a Tuesday.
That's like family style. They just bring plates out. Here's the.
It's like an experience. They'll they have the wine and then they pair. It's good and it's small. It's a small little place, so you got to make a reservation.
That kind of experience though. That's not a typical restaurant. You're going there because you're like. I mean, how long were you when you go there? How long are you there for? An hour or so?
You're there for like 2 hours at least.
Yeah, it's a full experience. You're going there to
maybe
enjoy
3.
yourself.
Yeah, you're there for a while, and they expect it. You're going to drop some money.
Yeah,
but
but okay, 100, say 150 a person, and you're there for 2 to 3 hours. That's a good value.
And it's good. I mean, it's not like it's all farm to table, locally sourced ingredients. Like really, really worth it.
That's good stuff. Yeah, because like you go to Chili's or Fridays or like. Mill Ale House. You're in and out in an hour, and you're still spending $50 a person.
Do you remember before Jockey Hollow? Do you remember Jockey Hollow Bar and Grill? Mm-hmm. Right. So that was probably one of the best dinners I've ever had in my life. Was when I did a 5-course for my wife's birthday years ago. We went as a group with a couple other people, and I mean, Campisi used to work there.
Yeah, he was a manager there.
Yeah, and I mean, he probably remembers, but what they offered, they did this meal that we dropped some serious cash that night. I mean, it was like 4 of us. I think we dropped it was like $800.
Were you upstairs?
Wow. Upstairs.
Oh yeah.
They paired a glass of wine per course. So we had like 5 courses. Every course got its own pair. So you had like 5 glasses of fucking wine. Dude, it was insane. It was so good. We were there like all night. We left. We were all like banged up, because of all the wine you're drinking with the meal, and I don't think they could honestly operate like that. Maybe that was one of the reasons why they shut down or something, because there was that. I don't know if you're losing money when you're giving. Like it felt too good to be true. I mean, it was a phenomenal experience.
Well, yeah, that they had I never had that type of course, but I've heard of that style upstairs, and it was like it's to the fucking
to the T.
We went to
sommelier. He knew everything. The guy was like, he knew where the fucking wine came from, everything about the tannins in it.
Yeah, dude, crazy. There was a place. PH? It's PH, I think, steak house in Chester.
I
know the name of this. I've heard this before.
Yeah, they did a cool Mother's Day brunch that was a buffet style brunch, and they charged. So at first, at value, you're thinking $65 a person, bro. You was unlimited. What the fuck you wanted to eat?
Oh, wow.
They had ribeye, turkey, pork, all the fucking seafood, chicken. They had breakfast.
Like, how are they making money,
bro? I kid you not. At first, you're looking $65 a person, and then you realize that I counted the amount of plates of food I brought home. I definitely
brought home food.
Oh, it's not brought home. Sorry, I ate.
Yeah.
I definitely had $400 worth of food for one person, but for 60. Oh yeah, but no. But when places do stuff like that, you're like, wow, I'm grateful. Like, dude, I paid $65 for myself, but I ate $400 worth of food. Like, that's fucking worth it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's worth it to drop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steakhouses, especially. I feel like you go to a good steakhouse, you want to make sure you're getting a good experience, a good cut. I'm never that guy. I literally am nenever the guy to return food. I've returned food like one time, and it was at a steakhouse because the steak, I wanted it medium rare, and I paid. It was like an $80 steak. Yeah, you were like a $90 steak, and it came out and it was well done. Like it was like
that's
and I was
that's
like, I'm
unacceptable.
sorry, but like this is a lot of money for this. I can't do it.
Yeah,
I just can't.
If it's undercooked. That's
like
that's fine.
Saying that.
No, you were not. No. Listen, you said medium rare.
Medium rare,
and it came out well done.
Rare.
That's not even close. No, if it's like medium well, okay, maybe, but well done, no. Especially for a steakhouse, that's their expertise. They should not have fucked up.
Look. There's a difference.
That chef was trying to keep that for later.
Yeah, it's like you guys don't waste it, please. Go eat.
No, that chef was eating that later.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, what were you saying?
No, there's a way to do it, right? Like everyone always just automatically assumes that if you send something back, you're being a dick. I've been on the other side of people sending things back. When you say, "Hey, Joe, I'm sorry, man. Look, I pay a lot for this. I wanted medium rare," and then you cut it open, and you're like, and I like. It's well done. I'll be like, oh yeah, sorry about that. We're going to get you another one. If you go, Joe, what did I say? Did I say well done or did I say medium rare?
Right.
Now you're a fucking asshole. Even though you're right, now you're being a dick. But if you approach it properly, like that, and bro, you should do that. If you're paying $80 for a steak that came out well done, you want to know why you should do that? Because now the chef's going to go back to one of the cooks and be like, hey, this is a learning experience. You fucked up. Don't do it again.
Exactly.
Yeah, because otherwise it's going to keep happening.
That could be a money loss for them on a larger scale.
Yes.
People keep complaining. Like, you got to know. Sometimes you have to know when you're making a mistake. It has to be pointed out in order for you to know and be aware of it and to fix it. And, if you don't point that out, and that goes with everything. I mean, even beyond the kitchen. I mean, shit in life. Like, if nobody ever points out my mistakes, imagine if nobody ever pointed our mistakes out. We would just go around thinking we're like flawless and like we're just a bunch of assholes.
Yeah.
Bro, when I was
just arrogance.
Bro, one thing I love languages, right? So when I was doing my Italian, and by Italian, just like living with people from Italy, right? That's how I learned the language. There was one thing, you say no thank you, right? The word no in Italian is non. It's pronounced non. So you say like anything with no, it's non. But the one thing you will never say non is if you're saying no thank you, you say no grazie. Now I just thought you would say non grazie in the beginning. Then all my friends, I've been saying non grazie for like fucking 2 millennia now, right? And finally one dude was like, no, dude, it's not non grazie, it's no grazie. And I'm like, thank you. I go to my friends, I'm like, why the fuck have you not been telling me I've been saying not thank you this whole goddamn time?
It comes out as not thank you.
Yeah, not thank you. And I'm like, dude, I look like a fucking idiot. Like, correct me. Correct me, dude. Like, what are we doing?
I don't have a fragile ego. I can be told that. I don't speak perfect.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You got to be corrected.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is on the other end, kind of, is... there's a proper way to approach people. Like, hey, man, that's not how you handle it. Or be like, dude, you fucking idiot. How do you not know this? Like, there's ways to handle it gracefully of pointing out to people, you know, and there's a time and place for pointing out. And there's a time and place not to. So, that there's a huge finesse behind that. And I think a lot of people get lazy and scared to do it because some people just have a fragile ego, can't be told no, like can't be told that they're wrong, or you don't know how to approach it where it doesn't come across as confrontational or something, So it's always tough
in my life, that sometimes you're not going to make everybody happy.
Nope.
And even if you're listen, I went through this, with my son, my stepson. He's got this lady that he works with who she's just not nice. She's not nice to him. She's like fucking like in her 50s. And, he's
Grumpy
like this 15-year-old kid. She's bossing him around and shit. And I'm like, I said, sometimes in life you're going to come across these people who don't like you. And you just don't know why. They just don't fucking like you. But, that's on you how you respond to it. Because it truly is. And that's something I've learned in therapy. Like, and I'm a work in progress, man. But, how we respond to things is on us. We can't control how we feel, right? You could say, hey, Al, fuck you. And I'm like, oh my God, that hurts my feelings. But how do I respond to it?
Yeah.
Like it might terribly hurt my feelings and you can't, I can't control that. But you know what I can control? Me not cursing you out or, you know what I mean? Like it's how we respond. And that goes with everything in life. Every time you find yourself in a situation, you always have to ask yourself, like, how did I respond? How should I respond? And should's like a hate to use that word too, because that's another word. You know, learn,
I think it's appropriate in this stuff because
it implies that like
should is your opinion. There's no scientific evidence proof of like this is what I should have done. It's like no, like okay, you responded. Joe said you're being an asshole, and you're like, oh fuck you. It's like
right.
Well, after the fact, you're like, I probably shouldn't have said fuck you. I probably should have said. Right. Okay, yeah, man, maybe I am, or whatever the case is. So, like, there's a stigma, but it's what your opinion is after the fact of what you think the ideal situation should have been.
I think I look at the word "should" as sort of this implicit entitlement. It's like
it's fair.
You know, if you say, I should have that, or I should have that, or I shouldn't have this. Why? It implies that if you say like, I should be the one that has that job, not you. You're implying that you deserve that. You don't deserve shit.
That's entitlement. That's pure entitlement.
But here's the thing, though. If you think that you should deserve, something, then go after it. Like, because no one's going to stop you. Because maybe you will get that. But I think where people shoot themselves in the foot is they'll say something like, "I should," and then it's a negative stigma because they don't do anything about it.
Right.
So if I say, "Fuck, dude, I should have that," then immediately after I'd be like, "Okay. Now, how do I get it?
Right.
What do I have to do? Right. Okay, now let me do it. A lot of people don't do that. They just go, I should have that. And then they just don't do anything about it. Like, work toward it. Or even just make the changes to arrive at that point where you should be, where you think you should be.
Right.
Like, if you're just purely saying, I should, and then
you're not doing anything about it.
Okay, let me play PS4 now. I should. Motherfucker, I should. And it's like, all right, well, now you're not doing anything for yourself.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, God, it's such a crazy topic that goes on to the whole realm of, you know, self-betterment and that whole area. I mean, God, that's like a whole nother day worth of talking.
Yeah.
You know,
that's like, usually what we talk about.
Yeah. But like the whole making yourself better aspect, you know, it's we're all work in progress. We all just have to try our best. We all got to keep taking negative situations, trying to turn them positive. Life isn't fair. I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. Like, the older I get and the longer I live, I realize, like, life really, truly isn't fair. And there's no force in this world that says, hey, it's supposed to be fair. Sometimes it's more fair for other people. Sometimes it's a lot less fair for others. I don't know why it's like that. I really wish I had the answer. I just try to take whatever I have, and I've been through some crazy shit. I just look at wherever I'm at, and I say, this is where I'm at. Now, granted, like, God forbid, the worst case scenario thing I can think of is like losing a kid, right? I mean, that's like the worst thought. You know, I don't know how I'd feel or respond in that situation. I don't know if I would revert to like the old, like, this shouldn't happen to me. You know, like, I don't even like thinking about it, but I think I have enough faith to realize that, mate, there's a better plan. I don't know what that plan is or what it means or why. I just have to believe that there's a greater power and there's a reason, you know, why that happened and why it happened to me. That's kind of the way I look at my life, you know. I don't look at other people's successes, and I try not to do that. I try to stay out of that. And we're all guilty of it sometimes, but I think life is better lived when you just look at where you're at and you gauge yourself. Like in jiu-jitsu, we all like gauge ourselves against our partners and stuff. That's healthy. But being like, why the fuck did this guy get a promotion or open a business, and why don't I have, you know, like, go work for it. Yeah. And if it didn't happen for you, then try something else.
But I don't think so. I think your point, I'm not disagreeing with your point, but I think, hey, why did he get it, not me? There's two ways of asking the same fucking question, right? Why did he get it, not me? Okay, what do I need to do that I'm not doing, and why did he get that, right? If the end result is, okay, why did he get it, not me? And then that means, what do I need to work on?
Right.
First, the entitlement is, why did he get it? I'm supposed to get it. Kind of. There's a huge difference, but it's the same fucking question, you know? So and
there's always a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you really dig deep, there's always a reason to the why that you're asking.
And sometimes, like, there's no fair reason. Sometimes it's unfair, and that's just life, and we just have to learn to deal with it. And still, it's unfair in that moment, right? Where's that one parable where the guy is like, oh, your kid's home from school. That's great. And it's like, oh, we'll see. And then he's like, the kid was hoeing, it was on the horse and the horse bucked and broke his arm. And he's like, oh, that's terrible. He goes, oh, we'll see. And then like the emperor came and was rounding up all the military age men, but his son had a broken arm, so he couldn't go. And like, oh, that's so great. And it's like, we'll see. You never know what the actual end result is.
Dude, I heard a parable. It was along those lines. It was like a Brazilian, I think it's like the Brazilian one, but it was along those lines. And it's like, every time it changed. It was good at one point, it was bad at one point, but it was good at one point. There's a way, dude. The biggest thing is not to be a victim of your circumstances. You could always, I'm a very big believer in that you can change anything. You got to put your mind to it. You got to absolutely put your mind to it. I understand that that's a little taboo because a lot of people think that a lot of things are out of their control. I think when it boils down to it, you can change your life. You just, if you don't believe you can, you won't. But if you stay in your, here's the one way you won't change your life for the better is if you stay a victim. A victim of your mindset, you won't.
Victim mentality is one of the most toxic things for. I mean, it's the most toxic thing for growth. I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, placing yourself in that victim mentality.
I think that's the biggest thing culturally too, is where our society is at, is the victim mentality, and that right there will stifle any progress you have ever, ever. And then that comes down to the same thing is like why did he get it, not me? I deserve that. It's the victim. Like you're not there's
and the entitlement.
The entitlement is. I feel like it's still back into the same route of victim mentality. It's like I deserve that. Like you're like indirectly, you're kind of playing the victim at that point.
It's a funny thing too because if you actually sit down and a lot of people are really good at listen, take social media.
Yeah,
right? Everybody's good at showing everything positive.
Yeah,
nobody's going to talk about their fucked up problems right on social media. No one, some people do, and it's like good entertainment.
How about the statistic that most of the people that post their significant other a lot is usually the worst relationships, and the people that are really good ones never post them.
I'll tell you, man. If you look though, there's my dad said this to me one time. He said, if you take everybody's problems and you lay them all on the table, everybody's sitting down, you got a room full of a bunch of people you know, and everybody throws their true problems, right, on the table. You'll want to get up from that table and leave because your problems will be insignificant compared to some of those people. Like that's how serious it is that you don't realize some of the shit that people are going through or what they got going on, and no one talks about it. So, because why would they, right? Why would anybody, unless you're like, looking for help, you're seeking help, or you're seeking advice, or you have somebody that you confided in, you trust, and you're looking to make a change, right? And you trust this person, but most people aren't going to just go out and just wear their problems on their sleeves, So man up about it and do something about it, fix it, Otherwise, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
So.
You can talk about it, but if you're not trying to improve it, you're just complaining. You're just complaining, though. There's a difference between complaining and talking about it.
Yeah. Talking about a problem to get it out there so it's not locked up inside of you, and if you really need some help, that's fine.
Working through it.
When you're consistently not
negative.
When you're consistently negative, you're not even trying to better or switch the mindset or better the situation. Now you've put yourself in this state of being a problem.
Right.
Now you have to sort of quote unquote, I know I said at the beginning of the show, I hate when people say suck it up, man it up. That's exactly what I mean. If you come to me with a problem, right, and you want to air it out, there are some men who will be like, bro, fucking just suck it up. And it's whoa, dude.
Depends on what the problem is.
Exactly. Like you just confided in me with something that's bothering you. I'm going to listen. I'm going to, if you want me to, give my advice. You either take that advice or you don't. That's your prerogative.
Right.
Now, if you start to, then whether you do or don't, you take a different approach or you take that approach I give and now you're working on yourself. If you're constantly just doing it, going from one person to another to complain about something and now you're just being a complainer.
Yeah. You're pigeonholing yourself. Yeah. You're really not getting out of, you're grooving yourself into this, you're sort of carving an idea of who you are, and you're not doing anything about it to change it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, man. Some people, they love living, they make an image of who they are just by how they act.
Yeah.
Or how they speak to other people. Like they just create this like, I mean, I know people in my own life, even like there's some like, I have some people that are just so negative all the time that I can think of. I would never name drop, but I'm just like, it gets like annoying sometimes because you're just like, how about your kids? Like, your kids must be positive, right? You fucking hate them? Like, do you hate them? Like, no, like, talk about something.
Probably they do.
Maybe you do. Like, I'm sorry.
They may not hate.
Like,
it's probably resent.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but that was funny how you said that. But
right,
like, some people may be suffering, and I don't want to laugh.
No,
at them,
truly, I get it.
But that's funny. It's like, yeah, what your kids.
Try to think of something positive.
Nuts, something positive.
Right.
Fucking them too.
You know, like
that was a good point.
But
yeah, it's that. Oh man, dude, I just had this really tough work. Oh, you think that was tough, man? I just did all this.
I hate that.
It's like, well, then there's the extreme, the opposite.
Yeah.
Like nothing. You know, like the total, like you're talking about.
Yeah, dude. It's like you always have to.
Nothing bothers me.
But nothing bothers me. Yeah,
okay.
You're being such a bitch.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Oh, okay. I guess life isn't hard sometimes.
Yeah, right.
We should never talk about the hard stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
We should all bottle it up, right?
Yeah, just suck it up.
We all do. We all. And by the way, dude, I'm not even going to sit here and pretend. I know you two. Can't speak for you two, but I'm sure you would agree by saying, like, obviously, we say don't complain, don't be negative. Have there been times recently where I've been negative? Sure.
Oh, yeah.
But guess what? I'm really good at snapping myself out of it.
This goes back to the should.
I
shouldn't be doing this.
I shouldn't.
I shouldn't be complaining. This is the objective, and the goal is to not be complaining and be negative.
Yeah.
But we're human beings, and we make mistakes.
Yep.
The only difference between progress and not making progress or stagnant or regression is acknowledging or accepting or realizing you made the mistake, and then working on improving yourself, recognizing what the mistake was, realizing the thing that you should have done, and then implementing the changes.
Right. Having a plan, figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Well, that's another reason why, like, there's so many guys out there, and they always talk about the stigma with men and, like, suicide rates with men. It's so high because men sort of feel like they can't talk about their problems. Because if they do, they're going to be judged, or they're going to be met with resistance, or they
feel like a bitch for having.
Or they feel like a bitch. They feel emasculated.
About,
They feel like, they're not going to be a good provider. They feel like their partner might look down on them as weak. And it's these weird stigmas that, sometimes it takes a lot. You have to talk to the right people. But I really, truly feel bad for some of those guys. And depression's a real thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
We've all probably been through it at some level. Maybe it's not a clinical thing, but we've all probably been in those situations where we're like, man, like we just feel like shit, we can't change it. We want to change it for whatever reason. But, one thing I learned, and this is going back to like some of the history of like, therapy and all that, is an example that was brought to my attention when you go through something like tragic or you have something bad in your life, you look at it and it's like the example, he would call it the example of like Jupiter, right? When you're in outer space, or you look up from Earth, right? And let's say you can see Jupiter, right? And let's say you're traveling further away from it and Jupiter looks like it's getting smaller, right? It's still there, and it's still giant. It's still a giant planet. It's still there. But just because you're traveling further away from it, it doesn't mean it got any smaller. So let's call Jupiter your problem. And let's say you're traveling further away from it, right? That problem, as you're traveling away from it, or as you're living your life, it's starting to get more insignificant. You're forgetting about it, right? Yeah. It's no longer a problem. But then as soon as you remember that Jupiter is there and you start looking for it and you're like, oh, there's Jupiter again, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the same thing with like an experience, a tragic event in your life. Mm-hmm. You'll look and say, all right, you go through it, it's tragic. And then that tragic event, because you're living life and other things are filling your life up and your universe up, you forget that it exists. So it gets further and further away and you forget that problem's there. But the moment that you remember that it's there and you look back at it, it all of a sudden becomes the biggest problem in your world again. Yep. And, that's like one of those things that, that I learned that helped me, realize that you cope with tragic events or you cope with any kind of trauma in your life or bad things. I just revert back to that example. So maybe it'll help somebody.
Yeah, that's honestly a great analogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree with it. I actually never heard it until today. Yeah, you definitely stuff that down. And just because you stuff it down, it's not gone. It'll pop up again.
It's like a physical scar in your body.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, that hurt like a bitch when I got it. It was really bad. Then it healed up, but there's just like I have a scar here. I got burned on my hand. I always look at it, and that fucking burn hurt so bad. And I still have this scar here from all these years later, and I forget how bad that thing hurt. And I look at it, and it can take me back when I see it, just how bad that hurt. But because I forget about it, and it's a scar now, it's not a wound, I don't remember. I just put it out of my mind. And that's kind of the same way you have to live your life. You got to take it as it comes, grow from it, and move past it. Mm-hmm. It's the only way you can grow.
Yeah, I love that.
So
that's fucking sick. That was good. Dude, can you guess how long we've been going for? It doesn't even feel like it.
An hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes?
Hour and 20 minutes? Yeah, double that. 2 hours and 40 minutes.
I was going to guess 240.
Yeah, dude.
Crazy.
Bro, we've been fucking cooking. That's a good conversation. Will always make time fly, but you don't, you think an hour and 20.
Yeah.
I've been looking at the whole, dude, an hour 20.
Crazy.
I think we were talking about jujitsu still at an hour 20, bro.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Wow. Dude, it's always a good conversation when you come on, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And we touched everything. At one point, I was dude, at one point when we were talking about only the jujitsu, I was like, oh, cool, this is going to be a straight jujitsu podcast. We'll have it back on for
we touched a lot of stuff.
We touched a shit ton.
And not as much as Diddy.
No.
Dude,
touche.
Did you? I know we're probably running out of time.
We have plenty of time.
Did you read about some of the shit that he was having these male escorts do to him, or his girlfriend Cassie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fill in.
It's I feel so perverse saying this shit, but I'm just repeating what was in the context of what he was doing. So he would have his girl Cassie, who's testifying against him now. She would fuck these male prostitutes, and then these guys would finish, right? And then she would rub it. He would make her rub it on his chest. I swear to God, I'm not making this shit up, dude. What a fucking talk about the freak offs.
Yeah.
This guy was
bro.
he was doing some crazy freaky shit.
Yeah. It's wild.
And you can read this. I'm not making this shit up. This is
the stuff that's coming out in court. There's a bunch of crazy.
Oh, there's probably so much worse. So much worse.
I was listening to a reel of Beth Cooper. You know who she is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she was like, okay.
How did we get on Diddy again?
I made a joke about it. We touched on everything, not as much as Dizzy.
Not to talk about.
Yeah, it's a current affairs, pun intended.
Yeah, right.
But she was talking about okay, so the family has been supporting him behind him publicly as much as they can when this came out. But his whole family sitting in court listening to all this. His children, his young kids.
Oh, her new husband? You're talking about?
No, Diddy's kids. Diddy's family is in
Yeah.
court supporting. Diddy's kids are in the court listening to all this.
I know it's possible. I know it's possible.
They had to know something.
Thank you. They had to have known that something was going on at that stage, bro.
There is knowing something's happening,
but accepting.
But do you know all the details? They're sitting in court listening to every single detail come out, and not all of it. It's just, but vivid details, a lot of shit. So it's just wild.
Man. I mean, he's probably going to end up in prison the rest of his life.
If they don't kill him.
So the alleged story why this all came out is that he was no longer protected because he was trying to something to do with some business deal he was trying to get out of or some shit. Mm-hmm. And then there's a clause in there for bad character or something. If you come out as being a terrible person, you get convicted of it, then the business deals or whatever, he loses power or some shit. Right. That's allegedly why he was no longer protected by the people he was protected by.
Dude, they all just
they're all powerful people.
They're all power hungry.
Man.
Yeah.
They use those guys because we're looking at Diddy Diddy was a pawn. Epstein was a pawn, bro. Mm-hmm. They were just used.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, dude. And they were only as powerful as the people as their controllers allowed them to be.
Yep.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yep. And they were no longer useful.
The machine will just
chews you up, spits you out.
That's it.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It makes you almost grateful that you're not a part of it, that you live just a regular life.
Bro, yeah.
It feels so good to know that you're not going to these, oh my God, what if I went, imagine being one of those people that was oh fuck, I went to one of those parties and I saw that crazy shit. What if like the feds start fucking investigating?
Yeah,
me?
right.
Like, but I didn't do anything, and now you got to feel like
you're guilty by association.
You're guilty by association.
Yeah.
That's why like association, man, it's so important. And that's who you hang out with,
bro. That's why a lot when all this shit was coming out, like not even shit, like with Epstein or with before Diddy, with COVID, when all this shit was coming out, there was a reason why everyone fell in line in that industry. Because a lot of them were compromised. And the ones that weren't compromised, very few actually were brave enough to come out and speak against it because they knew that even if they weren't compromised, they would get killed if they said too much.
Yeah.
Those people, they don't give a shit. They don't care about human life. They'll kill you.
Yeah.
That was like Epstein's the girl that...
she just died recently?
Yeah, she slept with Prince Charles or whatever it was, and she died recently. And she even came out before she died and was like, I'm not suicidal, didn't she? I'm not suicidal. Like, I'm
nothing to see here.
And everybody's like, oh yeah, it was natural cause or whatever she died.
Sorry, I brought up
no way.
No, it's good. Again. It's good.
I just don't want to end on a
no. It's not ending on a no. It's not. No pun intended.
Yeah.
No, but
what is that baby oil?
It's good. Baby wipes. It's good to bring this up. I know. First of all, we had a very truly positive conversation.
I think so. Yeah.
To bring this up, I'm never tired of bringing it up, no matter how tired listeners must be, because it's very important. and yo, dude, attention spans are short, especially when it comes to this shit, dude. Like, bro, 4 years ago, people didn't even want to fucking stand 6 feet next to people because, or they would yell at you for not wearing a mask. We forgot about that.
I know. How can we forget something?
Right?
Yeah.
So like, you got to be reminded, and if you're going to be reminded about all this shit and what to believe, dude, there is a force that is controlling. I think it's evil, right? That's controlling
I agree.
The most powerful people, and those people don't give a shit. So you can think that there's a difference between race, sex, gender. Bro,
it's like a good and bad thing, man.
It is a good and bad thing.
It feels like a villain movie we live in.
We are living in that type of movie. But there is also, like, it's just a class issue. It's really, and by class issue, we are the families. It's like a select 1,000 versus the rest of the billion.
Yeah.
But we as a populace don't realize that yet.
No. And even the people who say they have money, I'm talking like the people that are like hundreds of millions of dollars, like, you're still not on that level,
bro.
Like, even if you have hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, or even if you like have $1 billion, you're still not on that that level.
Even if you have $1 billion, even if you're the richest person in the world, you may not be in that group. It doesn't matter. You have to be in the group,
bro.
The money is just part of it.
Jeff Bezos and what is it? It's Bezos and. Or I think it's Musk and Bezos is 1, 2 right now, right? On Forbes list.
This is the public version.
Yes.
Because you have all the fucking princes and shit. Well, first off, there's the people that live in the Western societies that are just not known. But there's also then all the Middle Eastern kings and princes and shit that have all the oil money too that have. Yeah. They don't tell you how much money they have.
Just, dude, if you...
There's people with every single Ferrari in every single color. Right. Like their car collection is in the thousands, and they literally cannot drive every single car.
I know, dude. There are people richer, like you just said, than the Forbes. Like, Forbes list is just the people that we know about.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Awesome. So let's end though on we did this last time. Anything else you want to end on? Like one more thing, like just like one, I guess, you know, the takeaway that you tell the audience or our listeners.
Oh man,
you're international. Billions of people are listening.
I know. Yeah. I know. Oh, I thought we were getting shadow banned.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. I would just, I'm grateful to talk to you guys. I'm always grateful to, speak to a greater audience on anything that might be insightful to me. And I touched on some topics like religion. Maybe it'll help some people. Maybe not. Just have fun with your life. Enjoy. See you guys at training.
Yep.
And, ask questions. Be my friend if you want. Don't be my friend if you want. Just live a good life. That's it, man.
Love that.
Just live a good life. Try to be a good person. And take each day one step at a time. That's it.
Love that.
Nothing crazy, man. Nothing special to the recipe.
Mm-hmm. Love that. you were grateful to be on. We're grateful that you came back on. We're always grateful to talk to you, man.
Cool.
You're a great conversation. It didn't feel like 2.5 hours, probably.
No, it did not.
But yes, I agree with what you said. I'm always happy to have you on the show. We'll have you back on, and if you want to bring your friend as well,
I will. We can go into some other topics too. I got other guys that could come on, talk more topics.
We're always welcome for more people to come on, so we're excited.
Yeah,
definitely. Someone's definitely got something from what you said. Cool. So even if it helps one, like you said,
yeah,
folks. Episode 1. I gotta stop fucking snapping, but. Folks, episode 178, you heard it here with Al. Yeah, let's go. A lot of shout-outs made, a lot more to be made.
A lot of restaurants are going to make a lot of money.
We know you enjoyed this conversation. Agree, disagree, laugh, yell at us. I don't care. Make sure it's in the comments, though. Boost our ratings.
We'll talk to you.
Episode 178. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Guys.